now. Holy shit, folks.
I always remind people, I am suspended for life for minor hockey.
It's my duty to please the booty.
Did you catch a rattlesnake and then drive home with it in your car holding it the whole time?
Yep.
Phil only drinks Coke. He doesn't drink water. I'll fucking quit.
Fugazis.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 436 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. We are heading into the last week of the season, folks. Playoffs just around the corner. Can't wait. The good weather's here. Let's see what the boys been up to since the last week. Paul, Bissonnette, let's go to you first. What have you been up to?
What have I been doing? Jesus Christ, that's a great question. Well, we came off that insane road trip. What's that?
Just getting ready for the offs.
The P-offs?
The P-offs.
It was a pretty crazy week there, and then I finally got back on Tuesday night as we rev up for this FDNY NYPD broadcast, and we're going to be talking about that as things gear up. We will have Wayno on the broadcast at some point. But they're just getting rest. You mentioned it, where we're heading into a big period of time here for us as a podcast. The next 2.5 months are going to be a sprint, not a marathon, folks. I actually leave. This comes out on Tuesday, so I'll be leaving this afternoon when this comes out, and I will be gone for roughly about 8 weeks. And it's going to be, I'm going to the quote-unquote TNT bubble. We have our last broadcast of the season, and as we know, with this playoff race and this wild card race, we're going down to the wire, and I will be on the panel with Keith Yandel for that last show, and then it's off to NYC for that broadcast we got on Saturday night, and then on Sunday after we record Spittin Chiclets, because we will be going to 2 a week, dropping on Mondays and Thursdays, keep the change. It's right back off to Atlanta, and that's where I'll be there for that long stretch. It's going to be playoff hockey. I would describe round 1 and 2 as kind of like the first couple days of the tournament. Of the March Madness, right? That's hockey's version of the March Madness. So I am geared up. I have the energy stored, and I'm ready to go. So nothing really that exciting in my personal life, RA, other than getting some sun. The tan's looking good, and a lot of hiking. I got to see Lloyd, my boy, this weekend. So it was good. It was a good weekend.
Conserving energy. We got a busy stretch of games coming up, so see what happens with those. The Whit Dog, Ray and Whitney, you are down south last weekend, were you not?
I was down south. I was walking around the grounds of Augusta National Golf Club on Friday for the second round. We got super lucky weather-wise. So myself and 3 buddies, we flew down. We have a good friend that lives in Savannah. Played 36 holes on Thursday at his tracks, which was great. Everyone caught a nice buzz. Wednesday we landed a little later, had a nice dinner with the fellas, wake up pretty early to play a lot of golf that day. So by the end of the first 18, we've had a couple. We're feeling great. Well, my buddy lost his golf cart, so he couldn't find that. So that's how interesting the first 18 went. He says, I always park it right here. Turns out it was a little bit down the road at a different spot. So we shot over to another course that has a Corn Ferry event, actually. Played there. Beautiful spot. I'd never been to Savannah. Amazing town. That same buddy that night, a little scary. We're at dinner having a grand old time. Tons of laughs, good stories going around. And all of a sudden, it's like... And my buddy said, yeah, you're fucking around like he's choking. He wasn't choking, man. This guy full on choking. Whole restaurant's panicking. It was actually the scariest moment of my life. Like your heart stops, and he coughed up a big old piece of steak. I said, how did you think you were gonna get that down your gullet, bud? You gotta chew your food. But it was an overall amazing experience. And then the next morning, we woke up pretty early to head to Augusta. It's about 2 hours and 15 minutes from Savannah. And waking up early sucks. Like, you get up at 5:30, 6 a.m. It always stinks. Now, I think golfers will know what I'm talking about, and maybe fishermen, people who enjoy fishing. When you're getting up to do that, what you love, like I don't mind waking up at 6 a.m. to go play golf. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. But when I have to wake up at 6 a.m. to do something that I don't want to do, it sucks. You're so much more comfortable in bed. Well, waking up early to go to the Masters, it's a feeling like no other. Like the excitement I had, I went in 2017, and just going back, it's the best place in the world. It's the best place I've ever been. It's just amazing how they do things. I know I talked about it years ago on there, but we got in there, and all week Friday looked like bad weather. And we saw, forecasts that said at noon, thunderstorms and rain was coming. Well, we got in there right around 11, I'd say. We had to get the tickets. You go to the merch tent. The merch tent, or the merch shop, they do $1 million an hour. that week. 10 million a day they do. And it's amazing. I don't know how many employees they have there, but everything's perfectly in perfect spots, and they roll you right through. There isn't really much of a line, even though it feels like there's thousands of people in there. And then immediately you walk out of there, and just to the left, you can go over to a UPS hut, and you just ship all your merch home.
Come on.
It's just, they have it all. I'll tell you right now, if whoever runs Augusta National, the Masters, I guess it is Augusta National, if they took over the U.S. government, our country would be buzzing left and right in 2 days. They just have it figured out. Well, the weather ended up being great till about 4:30 when they had to call it because of thunderstorms, but we got more than we could have bargained for. We walked the whole front nine, then sat on Amen Corner right behind 12. And I don't know if you guys saw, I think everyone saw there was 2 trees that fell over.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of these trees, this club is like Disney World. They bring in grown trees from California and they plant them. So maybe these 2 trees weren't planted correctly because the wind was bad, but it wasn't crazy. Buddy, these 2 trees fell, and as they started making the noise of being uprooted, everyone started panicking and running away. This one woman, buddy, she froze in the spot. One landed directly left of her, and one landed directly right of her. It was straight out of a cartoon. It was like when you can't get the Wile E. Coyote, right? Was that the guy that they could never get, RA?
Yeah.
There was Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote got owned, right? This woman was the road runner. It was just impossible. So, just an unbelievable day and experience. Had a great time. We were behind 12, and I guess, I don't know how you word it, but what the deal is there is you put chairs down whenever you get in. Wherever you put chairs, as long as you're not in those seats, anyone can sit there. But when you come back, you say, hey, these are my seats, and people get up. It's very, it's just gentlemen and gentlewomen walking around the grounds of Augusta National. So there was 4 seats right second row behind the 12th tee, which is the most famous par 3 in golf. So we sat there for about an hour and a half, watched like 6-7 groups come through. They were in threesomes. We're betting on who's going to hit the green close to the pin. It was a great time. We see Tigers on 11. Before he, this is when he still could somewhat walk before he had to withdraw. He's on 11. He hits his second shot in. We got the seats of a lifetime to watch Tiger hit the greatest shot in golf. Horn goes off. It wasn't even a tap biz. It was the weather horn. So we didn't get to get.
I thought Gertrude would be like, "Hey, get out of my seats! I want to watch Tiger come in for." I thought it was gonna be one.
Spalding from Augusta. Excuse me, sir. But no, it was a great weekend, and also was able to get home in time Saturday, watch the national title game. My boys at BU got trounced, but they're on to bigger and better things. Jay Pandolfo crushed it this year, and I honestly am super. I love my job. I've made it very clear. But there's nothing like the excitement in doing what we do. And this is for us as podcast hosts. It's for the guys at TNT. Biz is the double threat. And then it's the guys at NHL Network. Anyone involved in hockey as fans and media and players, this is crack cocaine right now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I have this jump in my step. Hope springs eternal in terms of it's playoff time, boys. So I'm ready to rock and roll.
Tell the old lady, don't talk to me for 10 weeks. You got the kids.
I said, I'm sleeping in every goddamn day. She said, no, you're not. I said, okay.
Hey,
Take that.
But going back to you talking about the merch, so I'm sure that you saw this on Twitter. This Joe Pompliano.
Yeah, that's the story I read. He's great. Him and Chung Fang is our boys.
Oh, buddy, this thread he's got on the Masters, and you joked about them running the U.S. government. It goes to list all this stuff about how they've purchased the real estate around Augusta and what they've turned it into. So as far as running that as a business, that is they got a dialed-in program, man.
And they in that thread on Twitter, it talks about you can't get the merch unless you buy it from Augusta or somebody buys it and then sells it on the secondary market, and the prices are outrageous. They could sell their stuff online, and he thinks, I think he said they're probably giving up around $250 million annually in terms of what he thinks they could make in terms of just selling their merch, but they don't even care. They don't need it.
I feel like they're like the world's smartest carnies. I would compare it because the business model they have, like you go in there, how quick they're running you in and out. They showed up.
Well, you're not playing Augusta ever. You just called the members carny folk.
I don't think I was ever getting on.
Neither do I.
No. If you had any chance, I just ruined it. Did you ever read that text that one of your buddies got about Larry David and his comments? We have? Okay. I feel like it should be read every year that the Masters happen on our podcast. Maybe Grinelli could go back to the clip and replay it, or
yeah, we'll figure it out. I probably ran into roughly, and my buddies would confirm, I'd say 25, 30 people there, or groups of guys kind of stopped me, Chiclets fans, and we got to shoot the shit. And like a lot of them were like, "You ever play here?" I'm like, "What?" And then he's like, "You ever think you're gonna play here?" I'm like, "Nope." But one guy working there, he's like, "Wait!" He bombs up to me in a golf cart, like walking away from. We were kind of behind 16 up at a concession stand. And he's like, "Hey, Whit, you want a water?" I was like, "No, can you get me on the course?" He's like, "No." So I don't think that one's going to happen. But yeah, it's a special place. It's really cool. Last thing. Yeah. So I'm sitting, I sit next to a guy on the flight home. And we got to chatting. We actually had one of those flights where we talked the entire time. It felt like the flight was 2 minutes long. It was great. And usually I'm an AirPods guy in, but I had a nice little buzz going, and we had a good conversation. He's a golfer. So he's played Augusta. He's played it 3 times. And he made a fucking eagle on the 14th hole, he told me. And now I said, I don't know should I believe this guy? I don't know if this is true. Nope. He was on foreplay. Somebody called in and told the entire story. And the story's a little bit sad, but it's also kind of interesting. He got an eagle on the 14th hole. He dunked it on his second shot. And he finishes his round, and once he's able to call his wife, he called his wife and kind of explained it to her really quick. And there's no phones on the course, so he hadn't heard from her all day. Well, he'd had a bunch of missed calls. And unfortunately, as he told her this amazing news, she said, "I'm so sorry, honey, but I have to tell you, your brother passed away. He had a heart attack today." Just kind of a horrifying story in a sense. Well, he passed away at 10:30 in the morning. And that guy, he got the fucking deuce around 10:30 in the morning.
No, or that's fucking nuts.
And it turned out it was basically the same exact time as he made this like amazing shot. Now, he obviously said to me, like, it doesn't even matter. My brother passed away. It was horrible, but it was just something about like the timing of it, and he was close to him. So it was a great plane ride. I know it went a little dark there, but it was still a good conversation with a good man. So go ahead. I've taken all the.
No. I think you just stopped us in our tracks there a little bit. Can you give?
I know. I was like, fuck. I don't know if it's necessarily going where I hope, but still.
No.
You got the eagle.
Did you have any of those cheap sandwiches, the pimento cheese ones, or any of the other ones?
I'm not a pimento cheese guy. I had a chicken salad, little bit of mayo for my liking, and then I had one of those pork barbecue sandwiches. They're like $1.50. I've mentioned the merch stays real cheap there, considering they're making $1 million an hour, or the food stays real cheap considering the merch is bringing in $1 million.
Well, and the amount of tweets we got about the heckler in Happy Gilmore, you being him to Brooks Koepka.
I couldn't get him. He was out early Friday. I missed him. But he ended up choking it away. We'll talk about that later. I have some more things to explain about that. The funniest part about buying the merch was they are like Walmart, where they put all of like the unnecessary stuff right near the checkout line just to grab on the way out, even though you don't need it. Nettie's finishing up. He's grabbing a toiletry bag. He grabbed a license plate holder. He was just rummaging through the merch tent. So it was a fun experience.
How many nights were you in Savannah, Whit?
We got there Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. Beautiful little town. Reminded me of Charleston, but even a little bit smaller. Good restaurants. Awesome place.
Yeah, their St. Patty's Day is wild. It makes Southie look like a fucking tea party if you ever get a chance to for that. Yeah, it's insane.
Actually.
All right, next
you went there. You went there specifically for St. Patty's Day one year.
It was a bachelor party, and it was a small one. There was only like 4 of us. We went down that weekend. Yeah, and it's huge. It's crazy. Like they let you drink on the street. Boston kind of does, but you gotta sneak it. But they let you walk all around, drinks in your hand. They don't bother you. But once the bar shut down, they get you the fuck out of there. Like you don't loiter at all. They'll arrest you if you're not out of there. Like the bar's closed. But great little town though. Either way.
Ladies are good too.
Down south, of course.
So we saw some pretty southern gals, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. All right, producer Mikey G, you were down Tampa with Merles and Army. How'd that weekend go for you, buddy?
Game Notes in Tampa was a great success. What an unbelievable city. I can't believe I thought Columbus was a top 5 city after going to Toronto. I mean, going to Tampa.
It's a ricochet shot at the Blue Jackets nation.
I know. I cashed my Quinnipiac ticket. I got to meet tons of college hockey fans, and I actually didn't even realize, like, how much of an annual guys trip the Frozen Four is. Like, outside of the 4 main teams that were there, we met so many people that were like, I've been coming down here for 10 years with all my buddies. I've been coming down here for 15 years with all my buddies. So it was definitely cool talking to all of them and getting to meet them. And Frozen 4 is in Las Vegas in 2026, so that's going to be absolutely bananas. Maybe Chiclets makes it out there.
When you said that they come down, had it always been in Tampa like every year?
Different city every
No, they travel to wherever it is.
Okay.
So they'll pop over. Next year it's in St. Paul. The year after that it's in St. Louis, and then 2026 is in Las Vegas.
Wow.
I mean, it was great for you guys to be there. Shout out yourself, Merles, and Army for representing Game Notes. I know you guys got some interviews that look to be fantastic. And I guess this, before we get into the hockey news, and there's so much to talk about, it's probably a good time to announce that starting in the playoffs, we're going to be having a daily Chiclets Game Notes show starting at noon each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. RA will be on, Biz will be on, I'll be on whenever we can be, to recap the night before NHL playoff action and to give some picks for that evening. We know the first two rounds, the first month of playoffs, you got at least 2, if not 3, 4 games a night. So plenty to talk about. We got 2 shows a week, and those guys got 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour show every day. So the content's ramping up. We love Merles. We love Army. Gee, you're doing a great job. And Chiclets Game Notes, I think, is going to be a leader in terms of continuing to grow the college hockey game. All you guys in Canada, we have a special guest today, is Rand Pecknold, who's the head coach of Quinnipiac. They just took it down. And I know you're big into junior. You got the OHL, the Quebec League, no fighting, and the WHL. But college hockey's growing here, and this interview is amazing. So definitely give it a chance, because we had an unreal conversation with this guy. So a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline for Chiclets, baby.
And that show you can listen to that daily show on our YouTube channel. You can find it, watch it every day, Monday through Friday on the Spittin Chiclets YouTube channel.
Before we go any further, you know what I'm here for, and that's to bring up my love and passion. New Amsterdam Vodka's own Pink Whitney. It's got my name on it. It's incredible, the feedback, the amount of people that drink it, the amount of people that enjoy life when Pink Whitney's in the mix. And if you haven't tasted it, please go out, grab a bottle. You'll enjoy life. You'll have fun with the people you drink it with. It tastes phenomenal. You catch a nice buzz. And at the end, you just get to get another bottle the next night. That's how this works. We have people sending us pictures of hundreds of empty bottles around their apartments. Dorm rooms packed with Pink Whitney. Nips being brought into sporting events. It's the best drink you can drink. It's the best drink for winter. It's the best drink for summer. It's the best drink on a golf course. It's the best drink on a boat. It doesn't matter where you are. The taste, the smoothness, and the color all combine into one to make a powerful drink that brings you smiles and brings you joy. Without New Amsterdam, we don't exist. Without New Amsterdam, Pink Whitney doesn't exist. And thank you so much for supporting our brand and buying that drink and catching a buzz while laughing with the fellas or the ladies, because we know the ladies love the Pink Wit. Maybe not me when I'm pink from in the sun, but they love the drink. So thank you to New Amsterdam. Back to the podcast.
So who did you guys interview when you guys were down in Tampa, G?
So first we interviewed Ben Barr, which is the UMaine head coach. He coached Cale Makar at UMass. He coached at Providence. He coached at Union. So that was a really good conversation. He's a young up-and-coming coach that I really think it's going to change that UMaine program. Also, he really gave us some good insight into like what's going on with NIL and how it's like what's going on with having to pay these players and all these new Big Ten schools. And then it was actually pretty cool. So we went out to lunch one day. We went and grabbed some just some food in the water there. And me and Merles were sitting by the water, and Colby Cohen came and met us for a drink or two. And Merles looks at there's a big yacht in the harbor there. And we were kind of just like, fuck, it would be so awesome if we could just like go do the interview on this yacht right now. We could just interview Colby Cohen because we were having a really good hot stove. So I just walked to the bathroom, and then after the bathroom, just walked right down, walked over to the yacht. Some guy walked out, and I was like, hey man, like, he was from Australia. I was like, any chance we could, record an interview on your yacht? Like, we do this hockey podcast. I know it sounds crazy, but, I'll throw you guys some money. Like, we have a big Instagram following. And he's like, what's it called? And I'm like, Spittin Chiclets. He calls back home to Australia. Apparently, like, his daughter's a fan. He follows the Instagram.
Come on.
He lets us on the yacht. We record an interview.
No shit.
That was the video of Colby lathering himself with sunscreen. Because
they were when I set them up in the spot they had to sit. Colby was not pleased that I put him in the sun. He's like, I'm gonna burn, I'm gonna melt. I'm like, this is the only place we can go. I'm sorry.
He's in lobster mode. Actually, the NHL is kicking off the season next year in Australia, so that would be a cool place to kick off. Well, it's nice to know that we got fans there. That's for sure.
That would be an unreal roadie. Gee, did you run into one of my college buddies down there as well? Little FaceTime action?
I did while we were at Hat Tricks. Shout out to Hat Tricks. Also, I truly believe that is one of the best hockey bars in the country. Unbelievable wings. They had the big deals flowing. Waitresses, gorgeous.
I know. I saw one.
But yeah, I ran into a couple RA's college buddies. It was pretty cool.
Jeez, what'd they say?
I know. I thought you were getting some dirt on
I
me.
cannot believe RA is in the position he is in now. I'll tell you that much.
What do you say to that, RA?
Yeah, it sounds about right. I mean, I was a goofball. I was actually a pretty good student, but, I wasn't like hitting the ground running when I graduated. So,
What was your best subject, RA? What was the one that you were the most dialed into? History?
Anatomy of actresses.
Yeah, journalism, media. Intro to journalism was an easy class. Mass media, that type of shit. Like, basically what I kind of ended up doing fucking 35 years later, but it worked anyways. Also, we got to talk about the Battle of the Badge documentary that we released this week. Sean did an incredible job. You guys all put it together. If you haven't checked it out, go to our YouTube page. Just a phenomenal thing. How long did that take to put together, G? The whole thing?
So that is something that we started putting together about 2 years ago. I think we've been filming now for about 9 months. In total, really a year and a half, but we've been filming for about 9 months straight. So shout out to Shauna Puzo, Mike McQuaid, Trent Trishkin, Elliot Fish, everyone that worked on this. It's a product that really came out amazing.
And for those of you who are going to be paying attention to the broadcast, it's a great thing to watch to give you the history of the game, all the storylines going in. It's a 45-minute on our Spittin Chiclets YouTube channel. So you guys have just under a week to watch it to get an understanding as to what the 49th anniversary of this game means. And that'll be played at UBS Arena April 15th. And we're going to be broadcasting the whole thing. Like, that's like the one massive component to all this, G. And maybe give a few more details as where they can watch the broadcast, who's going to be on the broadcast.
Yeah, so coverage starts at 4:15. You can watch on Barstool.tv or the Spittin Chiclets YouTube channel. We got Colby, we got Merles, we got Biz on the call, we got Jake Marsh on the call, we got Whit in between the glass, we got RA, we got Rico Bosco, we have Barstool Big Cat, and as Biz said, I think Wayne Gretzky might be calling into the broadcast. So the stars will all be aligned at UBS Arena come Saturday at 4:15.
What time does the game start?
The puck drop is at 5 p.m.
Perfect.
And there's no hockey on, really.
I'm flying Friday, staying at the Garden City Hotel, Biz. You remember staying there playing down? This great little hotel we'll be at.
No, we would stay at that Marriott right next to the old...
Oh, yeah, you're on the Coyotes. It's a trash organization. No offense, Arizona. Hope you get the arena. But the Garden City Hotel where we're staying is a beaut. It's a beaut. And I'm going to be there Friday night getting ready. I need my notes. All these in between the benches, guy, they get their lineups. They get, what firehouse they're in, what police precinct they're in. So I'm going to need all that sent over my way. I got to get my
Is this the first time you've ever done between the benches, Whit?
Yes, it is. I did color commentating for one game for BU hockey before the podcast started after I retired. And then they gassed me. I don't remember what the story was. I probably sucked at it, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, this is my first time. And
just letting it fly.
I've always said
this kid sucks.
The coolest job in broadcasting is between the benches. Like, Keith Jones is unreal at it. Armin does a good job for some Pens games. So I'm very excited to be that guy because I just want to be right down at ice level, hearing the chirps and seeing the fire and emotion between the guys.
Yeah, it's our first ever Spittin Chiclets broadcast where I think Merles is going to be interviewing guys outside the room. So it's going to be an absolute gong show. We're going to have fun and we're going to call it, the authentic way that we would do it. So I'm looking forward. RA, what's your role again? Are you going in the crowd and kind of getting the pulse of what's going on out there?
I believe I am a roving reporter, I've been told. I'll be bouncing around talking to people, interviewing them, so looking forward to that. Should be
all right, we're live with RA here in the crowd. He's like balls with all the fans. In the live section.
He's trying to hand a cop a shroom. He gets arrested. Oh, we lost RA.
It is fun, though. I mean, when you're little kids, you pretend you're announcing the game, and like we're adults, and we get to do this whole production, man. It's going to be wild. I can't wait to do it, so looking forward to it. And there's no hockey on Saturday night. NHL season,
yes.
College is done, so if you want to watch some hockey, Barstool.tv or our YouTube channel, correct, right, Mike?
That is correct.
All right. Moving on to the pucks, unless you had anything more for us, Biz, on your adventure.
Oh, I think that was a great little discussion. We got the Masters in, we got the broadcast, we got the college hockey. Did we mention our guest coming up? I think you might have touched on it.
Yeah, I brought him up. I did have one pathetic moment as a human. I'll just bring this up quickly. Sunday, we started a little bit of a family tradition where my wife's uncle, but he's like my age. It's kind of a long story. He rented ice. He has 2 kids who play hockey. Ryder's been playing. There's some other kids in the family that play. So we rented ice Easter morning. So 9 to 11 at Thayer Academy's rink where I played high school hockey. And in the rink, they have banners for the Olympians at Thayer. So they got Tony Amonte, they got Jeremy Roenick, they got Dave Silk, 1980. They got Brooks Orpik, myself, 2010, and then Orpik again in 2014. Well, I figured they might look up and see the banner. Well, nobody says a word to me, and, I couldn't just not say anything. It's kind of pathetic. I was like, hey, guys, you see my banner? So I just kind of pumped my own tires. I felt a little pathetic after. I was hoping one of them saw it and I didn't have to toot my own horn and say, hey, guys, see my banner? Ryder, will you stand underneath and pose for a picture? So I did do that. It was a little low, but I had to admit it before we got into the NHL talk.
Was that Ryder I saw in the video flying around out there?
No. Okay. Ryder's going to have to do a power skating camp at some point here.
Get him Nancy Gruhl, fly her in from Canada.
I don't want him to get beaten by her. She used to just throw you in the back of the line. He's not a great listener.
Oh, then he ain't going to be.
Look at his old man.
Pucks. He won't be retrieving pucks like old busy boy here, going back, whoosh, head fake, whoosh, whoosh, like a fucking Lidstrom. Minor league
Well, boys,
Lidstrom.
One of the most entertaining NHL regular seasons in years, I'd say, comes to a close this Friday. We still have 3 playoff spots we're going to fill up. There's only one definite series we know about, Tampa and Toronto. Also, we had one of the most entertaining Saturdays. This past Saturday was the first time all the teams played. 16 games, 32 teams. Awesome stuff. Started at 12:30, went until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Whole 13 hours of hockey. And in the East right now, Florida, man, they're hot as hell. Them and the Islanders are the current 2 wildcard teams. Both have 91 points. The Pens are right behind them with 90. And honestly, Big Walt, ever since he called out the Panthers, called them soft, they're 6-0 since then. Outscored the opposition 26-9. And this undrafted, Yale-educated 30-year-old goalie, Alex Lyon, has been a key part of all of it. He was in net for all 6 of those games, allowed just 9 goals, earned a shutout, made 56 saves in the win over the Senators, and almost half of his career starts have been this year. What a great story this has been, Biz. I mean, this kid comes out of nowhere. Journeyman, I don't think that's a bad term to say, but what a fucking streak this kid's on.
I mean, we saw it earlier in the year with Phoenix Copley and what he did for LA when they were struggling in net. And what's the thing we've referenced over and over? At one point, we probably thought Bobrovsky could maybe figure it out, making the money that he's making. And if not, Spencer Knight would figure it out because we've been hearing about him coming up all these years, and he's even making fair money. All of a sudden, this kid gives them hope and gives them life, especially late in the season. Going back to Walt, though, and really what the Tkachuks, probably the most entertaining family in hockey right now, I would say, especially going back to last week when we talked about him going on Toronto radio and making the comments that he did, and then fast forward to when they end up meeting. I want to say it was Tuesday after we ended up recording when Ottawa was down.
Thursday, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Thursday?
Thursday night was crazy. They had the Rangers Lightning action, too. It was a good night.
So all of a sudden, this goaltender has given them life, and I would imagine they're going to ride this wave into playoffs because I do believe they are going to make playoffs. They have everything else kicking on top of Tkachuk, who in the next game ends up getting his 40th goal. But going back to that Ottawa game, they've been everything but playing like pussies and being soft. It was actual pandemonium. And then Brady ends up getting the door. And then next thing they got the camera on the box with, and then you see Walt, and then Brady's in the box there with him. So it's like the Truman Show where it was all scripted, and this is just the chaos the Tkachuk family has caused.
It was amazing, and it kind of all started the madness because talking about Lyon and how good he's been. Well, Ottawa was kind of running at him a little bit. They were down 4-1. And they bumped into him a few times. Finally, of course, Brady, he just bumps into him once more trying to bang home a rebound, and all hell broke loose. He squared off with, What happened? Tkachuk ended up fighting Mark Stahl after Brady fought, or did Tkachuk fight Batherson and Brady fought Mark Stahl? I'm messing up all the guys because there was so much action, but it was all about kind of protecting Lyon and what he's done. And RA, I'll say it, I had heard before he came in, don't expect much, talking to some people, like, I don't know how good this kid is. So I think this run, I don't want to say it's come out of nowhere, but he's found lightning in a bottle, and he right now is basically the reason why Florida's the second hottest team in the NHL, because we'll get to the Oilers later. Holy shit. But Florida looks unbelievable right now. And after this season, and I've been so hard on them, and I understand that there was trade talks and all the fans don't like me for what I've said and all the trades that went down. It's been such a crazy year, but they've figured things out at the right time. And we talked before about LA on that run, getting in barely at the end and dummying everyone. I don't necessarily think the Panthers can win the Stanley Cup, but I'm not dying to play them if they sneak in here, because when you're riding that wave right into the first round, it's a scary, scary subject for the team who's kind of been preparing for the playoffs a lot longer and maybe not playing for as much. So I think it's very exciting. And in terms of Ottawa, it's kind of the book on their season in terms of us talk about them. They didn't get there this year, but the Senators are back. I know not being in the playoffs, you can't really say they're back completely, but they got a lot going on there, and Brady's the main reason because of it. So I think with getting Norris back next season, these guys getting a year older, I think Ottawa next year, if not getting into the playoffs, they're really going to compete, and they showed a lot of balls all season. So Brady and Makachuk, you said it, they're the most entertaining family in hockey, them and the Hughes. Now we got Luke Hughes with the Devils as well. So it was a great game, and Florida right now, they look like a dangerous squad.
And RA, as far as the goaltender is concerned, sometimes it's better to be naive than good, because I feel like he's just riding this wave and he's playing with the house's money, where he's the guy. He's getting the net. The boys are confident in him. And going back to Tkachuk in that game against Washington, they're tied going into the third period. And essentially for all three teams going for those 2 wildcard spots, you got to win out. And they're tied going in there. And I know it wasn't pretty and it was from the half wall, but every time they needed a big goal or a big play all season long, who's been there for him? Matthew Tkachuk. I think outside of Connor McDavid, he should be top 3 nominee for MVP this season. And we'll get to fucking the Islanders and their MVP. Are we just going to talk all wild card here?
Yeah, we're going to do a little East wild card action, then we'll step over to the West. But there's only 2 players this year, Biz, who have 100-plus penalty minutes and 75-plus points. It's the Tkachuk brothers. Only 2 players in the league who have those numbers. So, by the way,
once again, when we talk about the physicality in hockey becoming less and less, all you kids out there, there will be a spot for you if you can play and be an absolute shit disturber. They'll go anywhere, they'll fight anyone, and they'll do anything it takes to win. So all the skill and all the fancy-dancy moves that people want to do now, the Instagram skill, just never forget that hockey is going to need guys like the Tkachuks. Take away how good and how actually skilled they are, and just look at how they play shift by shift, grinding away, being so annoying and so dirty to play against. Will always give you a job in the NHL if you're good enough. So,
and it's not even the fighting either. Hey, it's not even the fighting either. It's just the physicality and you don't
bringing guys into the battle.
Well, they don't even know what the fuck they're gonna do as opponents. Like, they're kind of wild cards in that aspect. So all of a sudden, the room you create yourself out there, especially around the blue paint. That's why, 40 on the year for Matthew Tkachuk, man. That's mighty impressive. Everybody thought getting away from Gaudreau, he wasn't going to be able to repeat. Gaudreau and Lindholm, excuse me. No, he did.
And they have 2 more games left on the season versus Toronto and Carolina. See if they end up in the wild card. The other wild card team, we just said, the Islanders, they've won 7 of 11. They've gotten points in 8 of those games. I mean, Sorokin, this guy's been unbelievable. He's got 30 wins, and 6 of those wins are shutouts. So 20% of his wins have been shutouts. 925 save percentage, 233 goals against. And we're also going to talk about Brock Nelson. He's had an unreal year, 34 goals, 39 assists. And how about Bo Horvat? They interviewed him after the game the other night, and he said, well, he took a, gee, want to roll it?
2 more regular season games, 1 more here at UBS Arena. How does this rank for you in playoff pushes, the excitement of this building and the fans' involvement over the last couple of games?
Yeah, I mean, it's been unbelievable. It's a lot better than Vancouver, I'll tell you that for free.
Thanks, Bo.
Thank you.
Guys.
Well, he knows what his zip code's going to be for the next 8 years, so why not?
I mean, it was kind of come out of nowhere. Not even a ricochet shot, a direct shot. But Monday he did say he got caught up in the moment. He meant no disrespect to the Canucks or other fans. Was just very excited to be part of this playoff push. And I'm assuming you better this place in Vancouver. Is the Penthouse? Is that a restaurant of some sort?
We actually filmed part owner. No, we filmed part of that Watson glove commercial there. You could tell the minute he said it, though, right out of his mouth, he's like, oh, God. It's
Yeah, 'cause the crowd went nuts with it.
Like the Larry David music cue, and then all the social media outburst from everybody who's very rational online from Vancouver, Burnaby, and the Surrey and the surrounding areas.
I actually did take it as total excitement in terms of the run that they've been on. I think they got points in 8 of 11, and they've won 7 of them, whatever you just said, RA. But it's more about you just win this huge game. You went from a place that had no chance to be in the playoffs, and then you say it. Like, I don't think he meant it as it came off, which is what he said. But yeah, like Biz says, obviously the people of Vancouver, I mean, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to flip right out. So I more so look at it like, I'm so happy I'm signed somewhere where we're competing. They're not necessarily in yet. I think they'll be one of the teams, but it's just like, oh my God, to play playoff hockey, coming from where I did, where we knew there was no chance. It's just such a lift in your spirits. And right after a game, you catch a guy. That's why they pretty much make the media wait about 15 minutes to come in the locker room to give guys the cool down moment. So that's right after the win on the ice, and he says it, and Biz is right away. He's like, oh fuck.
We might as well talk Sorokin, and I'm not trying to create conversation and get you worked up, but
who said it first, Biz?
What? Oh, you did.
The best goddamn goalie in New York.
But going back to the MVP, if you take Connor McDavid out of the Oilers lineup, they're making playoffs. We can all agree on that, right? They're still.
I agree, but I don't think many people will.
They got how many guys who have 10 plus goals in their forward group? they got another superstar who's probably second best player in the league, in Leon Draisaitl. Now they got the goaltending. You can't argue with me on this one, Whit. You have to have my back and the fact.
No, I do. I think people probably like, oh, McDavid's the whole squad. That he's not.
If you take Sorokin out of the Islanders lineup, there's not a chicken dick's chance they're in the playoffs. It goes back to the year that Taylor Hall ended up winning it for New Jersey. They were without him in the lineup. There's no way they were making playoffs. So I would say that this year, after 82 games, Sorokin is the true MVP in a sense of what he means to his team. Give it to Connor McDavid just because of how much superior he is better, and I get that he's going to win it. But if we're talking about you remember I said those 3 other guys, I would say Tkachuk is one of them. But Sorokin is the leader of the pack. He's easily winning the Vezina, but he is the guy that what do you mean? You think Allmark is more valuable and a better?
Hellebuck's got a pretty good argument too.
Guys, come on here.
It's the best race for postseason award. It's the best race for postseason award easily.
And RA, and you could chime in with your argument for Linus Allmark, but if you take Linus out of the lineup, I still think that the Bees easily hit 50 wins. It's not even a question.
But only because you said Vezina, not hard. I mean, I can't see how Allmark doesn't win the Vezina this year.
If you're leading in both, he's currently leading in both categories. Is he still doing that, or is it not save percentage anymore?
I could give a quick look-see here. I know it was wins and save percentage.
I know, Biz. It's tough.
It's hard because it's also a contributing factor as to the way that how many limited chances they allow, and well, all the underlying numbers, like you're looking at the ones like for goals against average and save percentage. Totally understandable. But I think that there's more stats that you need to look at as far as like how many chances they're giving up in the slot, like what his save percentage is when they're on the penalty kill, like other things that matter as far as to like actual winning them games.
So right now, Allmark is still the leader in goals against with 1.89 and in save percentage with 938. To go with Biz's argument, Jeremy Swayman's third in the league with GAA with 2.22, and he's fourth in the league with save percentage. So that kind of shows that maybe without Allmark and Swayman being the guy, the Bruins are in a very similar spot. That is tough. It's like, I don't know.
Basically what I'm saying is if they had David Ayres in net, then I think that he would finish top 10 in both categories.
Also 39-6-1. That's a sick record as well for Allmark. I don't know. I'll be shocked if he doesn't win it, I guess.
And not to mention, talking MVP, Erik Karlsson is it's out of this planet. And in San Jose, there's not much to talk about. He's going to be the first defenseman with 100 points since 1991-92. Brian the Legend
last year?
Leach. What?
Didn't Roman Josi hit 100 points?
No, he just missed. He just missed last year.
Oh, geez.
So Karlsson, check out his assist on the second San Jose goal against Colorado this past week. one of the most nasty one-on-one beat the whole team assists you'll see this season. So just another guy to kind of, their team's so bad that I don't think he's in the MVP final 3. I don't think, but he has been just out of this world.
Yossi had 96 points last year, Biz.
Okay, thank you, G, for the stat there. So we've covered 2 of the wild card teams, and we haven't covered Pittsburgh yet. I think based on strength of schedule and what they got cooking right now, Islanders are for sure in.
Yeah, they
strength of schedule wise, Florida has the hardest schedule. They got Toronto to play here, and then they got Carolina to play. Correct, RA?
Carolina's playing for something, which hurts.
They are.
Florida with Toronto, that's the huge one. That's tonight. So when everyone's listening, that game will already have been played. Matthew Nyes in the lineup, the Minnesota stud signed by Toronto. Let's see the difference he can make. We called that earlier this year that he'd be playing for the Leafs in the playoffs. We all thought. We'll see if he is. But they have to win that home game tonight, because if you lose and then you got to win in Carolina, and Pittsburgh has, I think it's Chicago and Columbus. If they can't win those 2, they don't deserve to be in. We can go to them in terms of a huge win against Detroit, in which Sid became just elevated his legendary status with his 1,500th point on a goal against Detroit. He had a goal and 2 assists, and funny enough, he scored the goal for 1,500 points, and I guess Malkin's on the bench going, I touched it, hit my stick, just fucking around, typical Gino. But it's a great race, and we're gonna have a clearer path. As you're listening now, depending on this Florida game. So Toronto, I don't know if, I guess everyone's playing. Marner's going for 100 points. They're still trying to get things going before playoffs. They look awesome. But I think because of the Carolina-Toronto games, I think Pittsburgh might sneak in. I do, because I can't see them not getting 4 points there. And is Toronto going to win? Is the Panthers going to win both those games? That's going to be a tough one in Carolina. They're definitely more likely to win tonight at home than they are in Carolina on Wednesday or Thursday.
So Crosby scored, I think it was with 3 seconds left in that first period. Did you see the D-man, Wallman, walk out just like with one hand on his stick? Like, do you not know that Crosby's chasing you and he's going to pickpocket you? He didn't even really need to pickpocket him because he ended up getting poke checked, but leaving him all alone there, walking out that lazily, like, Jesus Christ. And then he ends up scoring with his backhand, of course. So you knew that game was over, signed, sealed, and deliver after that one.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was 2 goals and 1 assist. Was that what it was, RA, for the 1,500 points? I said 1 and 2.
Top of my head. But the Islanders, their last 2 games, they're at Washington, then at home versus Montreal. Again, 2 games they should probably win. But if you were a division winner, which team would you not want to play out of those 3?
So all along, I've said the Islanders because of Sorokin, but this mojo with the Panthers is scary. So it's like, do you want to play against a team with a lesser goalie, even though Lyon's been this good, or do you want to play against a team who hasn't been just crushing everyone on their run to the playoffs? So I'm going to say the last team, and Pittsburgh, in terms of, I guess I'd want to play Pittsburgh the most. It hurts me to say, being a former Penn, but I think the Islanders and the Panthers scare me a little bit more in terms of possibly beating the Bruins. I think it's going to be difficult no matter what. And whoever wins the Metro. But I'd say I'd least like to play the Panthers right now.
I don't want to play the Islanders if I'm the Bruins.
Okay, I was going to say, because you're a Boston homer and you're probably wondering who would Boston want to play, I would say Florida, just because they're more likely to take more risks, and Boston plays a lot more discipline where they'll be able to pick them apart when they are doing that. That's kind of how the Islanders play, and that's what would make me nervous about Boston playing them, that's why I say they play boring hockey. Islanders are the type of team where they're okay having 9 shots each team after 2 periods. They will not crack. They'll keep playing boring. Maybe when they do have that breakdown, they do have that stellar goaltender to make the saves. I wouldn't want to play in those 2-1 hockey games against the Islanders. I would want to watch Florida try to run and gun it, Boston keep the tight house, and then pick them apart on special teams. I think Boston would work the Panthers if they played them first round. But going over to Pittsburgh, I can't count out Malkin, Sid, and that crew. I just never can. So I'd say the easiest of the 3 would be playing the Florida Panthers. Stay away from the Islanders all you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Between Sorokin, that's a veteran lineup. They've been through the playoffs quite a bit the last few years. I wouldn't want to play them at all. I'll take Pittsburgh or Florida over them, definitely.
Okay, I changed my mind. I'm a pussy. I don't want the Islanders if I'm a Bees fan.
But Biz, it's a possibility that we're at the last game at UBS this season at the Fire versus Police if the Islanders don't get in. You know, I know you love the Islanders.
Would that ever be like a nice? That was icing on the cake right there. I'll leave.
You're gonna get jumped if that's the
basket.
case.
I'll leave Lou a nice fruit basket in his office when we're there.
Any word on Barzal?
I think I said it when it happened that word was coming out that he was done for the year. Now, this is complete rumor boy stuff. I heard ACL, but I also heard it on like a random Twitter account. But, you know, you never know. Those can be accurate about what, 0.00 birth control percent of the time. I mean, he hasn't been back yet. So, I mean, pretty accurate.
Yeah.
The fact that it was obviously a serious enough injury. Because how long has it been since he's been out? I would say minimum 6 weeks.
Yeah, I would guess it's right around then.
And from everybody speculating around the video that came out, it was a lower body injury. Well, guess what? I've had the worst possible knee injury you could have other than tearing your ACL, and that was a grade 3 MCL sprain. So that's on the inside of the knee where it opens up. And it, you know, I ended up after tearing my ACL having to get both repaired because it was open that much. So when you're coming back from like a bad grade 3, which I've done, you're looking at probably 2 months max. That's a bad grade 3. I would say 6 weeks to be safe. So, especially when you got legs like that guy.
So I talked to someone who is very close with lots of Islanders players, may or not be a coworker of ours. He said he is skating on his own and no, it is not a torn ACL. He's slowly coming back.
Oh, there you go.
Here is the side of that Biz is arguing is these are playoff games. So obviously there's something there where even when he's back, he won't be 100% or he'd be back right now because there's no difference between the first round and right now for the Islanders. So it's not going to be a fully healthy Matt Barzal, but if he's back at any point, a 75% Barzal is better than most of the league. So that would be enormous if they get him back in no matter what the deal is.
Don't put words in my mouth. I just wanted to purely speculate on
Fair enough. Rumor boys.
All right, guys, before we go any further here, I want to talk to you about The Score. Hello, Canada. This episode is brought to you by The Score Bet Sportsbook and Casino. The Score Bet is the best sportsbook for the hockey obsessed like me and Grinelli over here. With a wide variety of markets and daily specials from us at Spittin Chiclets, it's got you covered for everything on the ice. So if you're in Ontario only, download the Score Bet app and create an account today. You can build and follow your bets directly from the Score Sports app for the best possible experience. With the playoff push coming up, you don't want to miss anything. And the Score Bet also has you covered for all your other favorite sports and players. Plus, there's tons of iCasino games any day, anytime. That's the Score Bet. Download today and see how the best sports app period does sports betting. Please play responsibly. 18 and over, Ontario only. Gambling problem? Call Connex Ontario at 1-866-531-2600. In their second year of existence, the Seattle Kraken made the playoffs. They still could catch LA for third in the Pacific. They're 2 points back with a game in hand. Pretty solid lineup, went up and down. I mean, Matt is probably going to be the rookie of the year, but what do you think they're going to do in the playoffs? Are they a threat to anybody, or are they going to be one and done?
I think they're one and done. I think the Oilers are going to grab the Pacific, which I tweeted out, I think, January 15th, somewhere around then. I think the Oilers would just smash through the Kraken. And then if they don't get the winner of the Pacific, who would they get? They would get, Colorado. I mean, geez, see you later. So I don't want this to be a shit on Seattle thing because what a story it's been.
Yeah.
They've just had such a great turnaround from last year. The first year didn't go as expected, and Vegas ruined it for everyone in terms of the new franchises coming into the league. That'll never happen again, I'll say, which means it might happen this year. So I think Seattle, with having this great year, having Bjorkstrand come over and play this well. We talked about McCann last week, just finding his groove, former first-round pick, lighting it up. Eberle's a solid player, so you're really happy for that group of guys. And Vince Dunn, I mean, what a season. I don't think the Blues saw this. I don't really know how you'd miss this much of a dynamic game breaker on D, but this guy's taking his game to a whole new level, so that whole organization should be proud. And I have to have a little mea culpa in terms of kind of dogging Hackstall. I kind of called him as a higher maybe a guy that would be hired to
sacrificial lamb is what you called it.
Hired to be fired and the perfect coach for a new franchise, and then at some point he'd be gone and things would change. Well, things changed pretty quick. So they had a great run to start the year. They looked like they could win the Pacific. That's not happening. But to get into the playoffs second year, that's an awesome thing. It seems like the atmosphere is great. I'm sure the playoff games will be wild in there. We're going to be out there next year for the Winter Classic. So I'm looking forward to seeing the barn and seeing how alive it is during the playoffs. But I think they lose in the first round in 5 or 6 games.
Jesus, leave a little fucking meat on the bone, would you?
He asked me a question. I gave him an answer. What do you want me to do?
No, I agree with you completely, man.
Lay off me. I'm starving.
I'm starving.
You say bone?
Yeah, I don't want the one and done to be overshadowed with expectations we're coming into the season where you get a Calder winner. I'd imagine Beniers ends up taking the Calder for he's been thrown into the fire after college. He played 1 year university, ends up having to be a first-line center and ends up helping. He played 2 years at Michigan?
Yeah, I think he played 2 at Michigan.
Well, either way, man, coming into the NHL your first year at the age that he's done and having to go against first-line matchups, he's fucking killed it majority of the season. So I'm pretty sure he ends up winning the Calder. You sneak into playoffs, and you already stated it, the fans. I think that the NHL and hockey fans everywhere are going to get a real taste of what these Pacific Northwest hockey fans are all about. I think that building's going to be absolutely electric. And at the snowball's chance in hell that they do upset a team in the first round, I don't think it's going to happen. I think that fan base could lead them to a couple victories at home. Like if they ended up going 7 and then winning every home game, I would not be shocked in all this. So I think that we all know the concerns going in for them is goaltending, and then probably the back end compared to which team they're going to end up playing against. And where you said it, Vince Dunn leading the way, and I feel like he never really got that opportunity there, because even when they got rid of Pietrangelo, Parenko kind of took that 1A role, and then they brought in Falk from Carolina, and then they also had Torrey Krug. So he never really fit in even that top 3, where I don't think they ever instilled that confidence in him. But he also went to a team where I think their best asset is collectively as a group, where they can kind of run and gun and play offense with any team. So like a series between them and Edmonton, I wouldn't be shocked if most games were 5-4, 6-5. So look out for some very, very entertaining hockey coming out of the Seattle Kraken. So let's not shit on them. Great job in year 2. You're going to have some hardware coming in. You make playoffs, and your fan base gets the opportunity to show the hockey world what you guys are really made of. And I know we've had our differences. Bowie, like, I don't know, how do you want me to refer to him? Him, hey, they, him, you know how the whole thing goes, but that
non-binary.
That ugly son of a bitch has earned every right to be next to all the rest of the mascots with the effort that he's put in to get that crowd going too. So Bowie, I guess this is like me sending out a peace treaty. We don't need to be playing tummy sticks. Yeah, here's my olive branch, buddy. You ugly son of a bitch.
And Vince Dunn and McCann and Tolvanen are perfect examples of how many unreal players are in the NHL, probably being a little underutilized right now. Maybe sometimes not fitting into the system they're at, but there are players all over the league that underperform somewhere, and they're so good, and just things aren't working out. It's not always the right time or place that goes somewhere else, and they show how great of players they are. So you like seeing more teams only because you get to see some players who've played second or third fiddle get a chance to be the main guy and show that they can do it.
RA, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I'll leave it.
Put it on
Absolutely.
a t-shirt.
Absolutely. As for the other wild...
I'm a fucking poet.
You're a poet and didn't know it. Oh. As for the other wild card out west, Calgary beat up on Winnipeg in regulation Wednesday. They got caught up to them in points. They both had 89. But then Saturday, the Flames go to Vancouver. They only leave with 1 point. They lost to the Canucks 3-2 in a shootout. Meanwhile, Colin Hellebuck blanked the Preds to keep the Jets in that second wild card spot. And right now, the Jets have 91 points, 3 games left. San Jose, Minnesota, Colorado. The Flames have 90 points in home games versus Nashville and San Jose. Who ends up getting in here, Biz?
I think the Jets are sitting pretty in full control.
They control their own destiny.
What a bizarre ending to the season for the Calgary Flames. I mean, they beat some great teams, and then they ended up falling to Chicago. They lost the game to Anaheim down the. We're talking about teams that are going to be going for Connor Bedard here. In dire straits, back against the wall. You can't pull out those W's. but in a weird way, they're winning the games against the way better teams. So, I mean, as we're finishing recording, I'm pretty sure we're going to be close to puck drop between them and Nashville. And I'm sure Nashville, playing with the house's money, is going to be loving to play spoiler. I don't think Calgary makes playoffs, but god damn, man, they're like a bad rash. They just won't go away.
For them to lose that game at home against Chicago, and then they go back the next night and Markstrom plays and they beat Winnipeg, it's like, what is this team? It is crazy. And we cannot not mention Nashville and their effort. Shout out John Hines and all the guys playing. No Duchesne, no Johansson, Forsberg injuries, Yossi missed time. I mean, we're talking Vezina. We didn't even say Saros' name. So the fact that team has stayed in the hunt and are somehow still mathematically alive, they deserve a ton of credit. The fan base we've talked about since this podcast began, how outstanding it is. But an amazing run by that team to lose the guys they have and still be in the mix. So that's going to be a special one. Yeah, that Florida-Toronto game tonight, along with Nashville-Winnipeg, we got some special games that we unfortunately won't be able to break down because you're already listening.
Did I make a mistake? Is it Nashville-Winnipeg tonight, or was it Calgary-Nashville?
It's Calgary-Nashville tonight.
Stay hot, Whit.
You want to do a lap, or no? You've been hot enough where you've earned enough pluses. I think the dash one's over.
I'll touch the jersey that was -1 with 3 minutes of playing time in the gold medal game. So that's my lap.
There you go.
Well, we've known for a while that the Leafs are going to be playing Tampa in the first round, but at least one Montreal Canadian doesn't see them going too far. The Leafs put the e-bug in the other night. Jet Alexander played the last 70 seconds of the game. Toronto was up 7-1, but Chris Weidman not too happy about it. He said, quote, "They'll get what they deserve in a few weeks," end quote. Now, I mean, it's great copy. It's good shit to talk about, but how would you guys feel if you were the team losing 7-1 and the other team put an e-bug in? What do you first win? Like, would you consider it insulting, or it's a nice little dream come true for the kid?
So being in Weidman's shoes or skates and being looking at the Canadians players, yeah, I'd be bullshit. But I'm playing the fence here, which I quite often do. It's also like, don't get blown out. And this is the NHL. And I guess Toronto's looking at it like, we've had one e-bug story that's basically had all of our haters be able to make fun of us forever, is that we lost to our Zamboni driver. So we got to get an e-bug in and get him a little game time and have us on the positive end of this story. But if you're on the Canadians, yeah, it's fucking, are you serious? You're embarrassing us. You're making us look that foolish that you're putting this guy in. But then I go back to the other side of the fence. We'll score a fucking goal on the guy then. You know, don't get blown out and then put one past the e-bug. So I really do see the rage, and what a quote. I mean, they'll get what's coming in a few weeks. I mean, that's a Canadian fan and player and fan who just despises the Leafs like the rest of them. But I really do see both sides. I know that's not the answer you wanted. I don't know about you, Biz.
I was thinking about this today. If you're the anti-participation trophy guy, where you're like, oh, grumpy old man, you don't want this guy getting thrown in the game. But from like, if I was on the Montreal Canadiens, like, I don't think I'd give that many fucks. The game was already out of hand. It's for a minute and a half. And like you just said, if you're that upset about it, just run through the whole team and then go bury one on them and then fucking give the bench the finger. But I still think it's ridiculous that we talk about e-bugs and that it hasn't been fixed. That's more of the overall subject that I'd rather cover. But then I completely understand it, because every time it happens, something ends up happening media-wise because of it. Whether it was the example you just gave with David Ayres, or the fact that now it happens again and Weidman feels embarrassed by it, and then he gives an all-time quote about the Leafs getting knocked out first round like every year in the last 20 years. So keep it. It's entertaining for our sport. You never know what you're going to get because of it. If I was a coach on the Leafs bench, I don't think that I would have pulled him to give him the opportunity. Let it happen naturally. If he gets hurt, then throw him in. But wait, so I mean, it's also the age-old argument where if it's 5-1 and you want to still put your top unit out on the power play late in the third period, well, sometimes in the old days they used to answer that in a different regard. Then it would melee would ensue. So if you're that pissed off about it, start a Donnybrook and make it even more interesting for the crowd.
Yeah, we're not going to see Jet Alexander in the playoffs, but here's the name, Biz. Joseph Woll, a kid who went to BC. He's been the Marlies goalie all year. He's been stellar in very limited action for the Leafs. Yes. 4-1, 202 goals against, a .932 save percentage. He was their third-round pick back in 2016. You know, Matt Murray's been a little bit dinged up. He's day-to-day with a head injury right now. His last playoff action was 3 years ago. And then you look at Samsonov's numbers in the playoffs. 7 playoff starts, 1-6 with a 298 goals against, 907 save percentage. You think we might see this kid at all at some point in the playoffs, Biz? Wall?
You took the words out of my mouth. Playoff experience. It's my optimism has led to a little bit more of a pessimism. Is that the word I'm looking for? With the goaltending situation in this carousel, and not to Matt Murray's fault, but I think that was the concern coming to the season, and maybe putting the eggs in that basket, given his history and how he's had a hard time staying healthy. I've lost count as to how many times he's been on the IR this year. I want to say now 4. The last one being when he was hit from behind and he stumbled and banged the back of his head. Yeah, it's great to see this kid playing well when he gets the net. I think that him and Samsonov collectively have done a decent job, but between the two of them, 8 playoff games is experience, 7 of which are starts, and collectively 1 win. So I'm a little nervous going in. The only thing we got going for us is that you're playing, I don't want to say a beat-up Tampa team, but one that looks very exhausted and one that hasn't been doing a lot of winning in the second half of the NHL season. So yes, I'm happy both goalies that are getting the net are playing great. And if Murray's banged up, keep him off the side. And maybe we could have a situation like Lyon or whatever the fuck his last name is in Florida, where if Wall ends up getting the net, he's naive to the situation, no playoff experience. Let's ride the wave. But let's also go back and remember last year, goaltending wasn't the issue. Jack Campbell in Game 7 gave them every opportunity to win. So it's just carousel continues.
It's amazing that before the season and talking about signings and all the summer moves, we all said, holy shit, this is what Dubas is doing? These are the goalies that he's going with in the year that they must. If they can't get out of the first round this year, it's going to be monster change. Heads will roll. All those guys are gone. And what do you know? Who would have thunk it? Murray's injured. Samsonov has horrible playoff statistics, and we got this Wall guy as the possible starter in net. So when I say if you can't get out of the first round this year, I said I'd never pick Toronto in the first round, but be scared, Maple Leafs fans, because I almost think I might have to pick you. You have a hell of a hockey team. That team up front and on the back end, they got all the makings of going on a run. And then you look in net, and then you look at how bad Tampa's played, and then you look at Vasilevsky. You're telling me Vasilevsky versus Wall or an injured Murray or Samsonov who can't win a game in the playoffs? I mean, you have to beat the Lightning. They're wounded. They're exhausted. They stink right now. But look at the goaltending matchup, and it's exactly what we said in fucking September. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but if it's Joseph Wall against Andrei Vasilevsky, I don't necessarily know how the Lightning are going to lose. And so Leafs fans have this unreal team up and down, and then you just look in net, whereas it is easily the most important position in sports in the playoffs, quarterback in the NFL and goalie in the NHL trying to win a title. And they don't have much there. So it's a scary time as a Leafs fan to know you have everything it takes with 12, 13 forwards and 6, 7 defensemen, but you're just scratching your head on who's going to be in net and how they're going to play.
My optimism comes from the fact that it's been so long that something's gone right for them, where I just have this naive hope that Nyes is going to come in. All of a sudden, he's going to add this young blood, start lighting it up, and all of a sudden, maybe Samsonov or Wall are going to take the net. Next thing you know, you see the next fucking Curtis Joseph, where they need something else, right? Because even if they do get past Tampa Bay, which I think that they will, they got to go against Boston. And we talked before the podcast got going. I don't care how good Boston is. You know it's going to go 7 games. The history between those two teams in playoffs, it's going to be electric. We know it's going to come down to the wire. So if the hockey gods can give me one goddamn thing, it's this young blood just stepping up at the perfect time to blend with the, that experience that the Leafs are gaining steam. They're gaining steam. Nylander's having a great year. Matthews has learned how to play banged up. Marner's going to hit 100 points. They got Tavares having a beast of a season at his age. Then all of a sudden O'Reilly's probably kicking third line center. He's snapping back draws, blocking shots on the penalty kill. That's where the optimism rises.
See, I don't. The last time they got out of the first round, I don't even think you'd ever rubbed one out at that point in your life, Biz. So for Christ's sake, if it doesn't happen this year, I said it a couple weeks ago, move the team. Move them. Get them over to Hamilton.
Wait,
Hamilton.
That's a great idea. I'm going to go back to my under 18 days. I am going to go celibate for the cup run. I am not going to jerk off. I am not going to touch my penis. As long as the Toronto Maple Leafs are in playoffs.
I don't know if I can deal with the stressed out Biz while he's usually coming here and there and everywhere. So if you're not and the Leafs are in at Game 7, I don't even think we could be near him, Biz. I mean, G and RA. He'll be scratching himself like RA looking for a joint. He'll be just losing his mind. He'll probably be... Actually, the problem is if they do win Game 7, he might just start cranking it in the stream room.
No. I'm
get a freebie while you're sleeping.
I'm putting it on the shelf, and the towels at the Four Seasons are safe. I am going to be not tugging any off for the Toronto Maple Leafs run. 8 weeks, I will be going celibate. I did it for under 18. I want to say that was about a month long. I have never gone 2 months. Yes, I might be a psycho. I think at a certain point, I would get in an octagon with Ryan Reeves after about 5 weeks. That's how psycho I'd be. Let's go on this fucking run. Let's keep the heavy batches.
What would you do?
Heavy sacks, Leaf fans. I think all Leaf fans.
What would you do if the Leafs got to Cup Finals Game 7 and you've been good? You've stood by this promise you gave to Leafs Nation, and then the night before Game 7 you had a wet dream. Would you just know it's over?
I mean, I would be very concerned because I don't have.
Well, the bed would have to be like torched because it would be just covered in your semen. But
I think I've only had 2 wet dreams in my life, and one of which it was when I think I was taking a nap and I was face down, so like I was like kind of like fucking the mattress a little bit, and that's like I woke up as I was coming, being like, oh okay, I'm not actually plowing a lady, I'm plowing the top of my mattress. And the other time was early. That was actually more recent, probably in the last 5 years. And the other
that was last week.
No, not that soon. Not that soon. That's why
I've said on this podcast before. I would.
That's why I do it.
I would pay.
Man, now.
I would pay an enormous amount of money to have a wet dream these days. I mean, any guy out there will tell you, Jesus Christ, that'd just be a fun hell of a ride. You'd wake up with a permagrin on. I'd be making pancakes at 7 in the morning for the kids. Why are you in such a good mood, Dad? Don't worry about it, son.
Hey, what if I was like the curse of the Bambino, but I reversed it because I held my sack in my batch for the entire Leafs run? What if I was the one who won them the Stanley Cup because I didn't do that?
Imagine the mayor trying to explain why you're getting the key to the city.
I hope that other Leafs fans that are listening want to do that with me. I think it's a good thing. And who's the Raptor? Gates. Kevin Gates? Help me.
Kevin Gates, yeah, it's Kevin Gates.
He talks about how he doesn't tug him off, and he keeps his seed and he keeps his energy in. Maybe I'm just not honing it the proper way. So I guess enough about my batches. It's probably been about 4 or 5 minutes here since we've been going on, but I'm on the no rub train.
Nothing wrong with an involuntary freebie, man. That's what I call them, freebies. Just fucking wake up with wet shorts. You don't have no effort, don't have to pay no money. It's like, fucking, it's a gimme, man. Who wouldn't want one of those?
I thought you were going to throw me a proposal of like my dream girl came up and tried to bring me up to the hotel as we're on the road before the broadcast or something.
I thought he was
see how much you love the Leafs then. If Scarlett Johansson's like, hey, Biz, get over here. He's like, all right, fuck the Leafs. Let's go, babe.
Oh, Rachel McAdams. I think she's a Leafs fan. She was at the Cup a few years ago. She's hot, man.
Yeah, her and what's the movie with Ryan Gosling?
Aren't they married?
The Notebook.
The Notebook. Yeah.
She does it for me.
Aren't they married to each other in real life?
No, they broke up years ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
My co-star.
I wasn't thinking of them.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey guys, before we go any further, I want to talk to you about Game Time. Game Time is the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Created by fans for fans, Game Time is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. Me and Grinelli have been taking advantage for this a long time now. Playoff games, concerts, whatever you want to go see, use Game Time. It's possible to snag those seats with the Game Time app The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. The purchase process takes just 2 taps and 10 seconds. And once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone, no printer needed. The app also allows you to easily share tickets with friends via text so you can get to the game seamlessly. Skip the hassle and enjoy the moment. Download the Game Time app or go to the website, enter your email, and redeem code Chiclets for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Let's see. Wednesday night TNT games. Biz, were you on vacation last week? Were you on the Rangers?
I came off that 9-day work heater, so I ended up taking a day off. So it was Jen Botterill and Hank Lundqvist, and that was for the Rangers Lightning game, which was electric.
Yeah, last year's Eastern Conference Final participants, they were kicking the shit out of each other. Rangers ended up pummeling them 6-3. Had some action around the crease. First, Alex Killorn crashes into the net, basically just takes out Shesterkin. Had Adam Fox spearing the worm. Corey Perry, he ended up getting fined $5,000 for that. Then the worm fought Vinny Trocheck after that. Just a very heated game. I don't know if we're going to see them pair up in the playoffs again this year, but did you catch that game, Whit? Did you get an eyeball on that?
I saw all the highlights. Wednesday night I was traveling out in Savannah, but I got to bring up the Killorn-Shesterkin instance because, yeah, Killorn kind of was very late in terms of getting to the net, and he threw his stick in at him, but Shesterkin went back and grabbed his head. His head was never touched. His head didn't hit the crease. Killorn didn't hit his head. Just an ultimate kind of flop and grabbing the dome, maybe trying to get a call. I don't know what it was, but definitely a dive there. And then, yeah, we saw El Hellbreak lose. Of course, Perry. I mentioned seeing him after the Bruins game where I was went to the locker room after. Just that game, he was in the mix. I said it. He's just 37. He's fighting Trocheck. He doesn't give a shit. That was a good tilt, too. So that was an exciting game. Those two teams hate each other. That goes way back to last year. And I think that the Rangers, though, I've said it, it's a hell of a team. And I know I'm a Sorokin guy, but Shesterkin's really turned it around in the past month or so. So what a first round that's going to be, no matter if it's Carolina Rangers or Devils Rangers.
Yeah, I agree. Looking very dangerous. And especially after those 2 losses, Gallant called them out after they clinched. And since then, they've been firing on all cylinders. Going back to that complete flop by Shesterkin. And that's what creates, even if like these guys aren't getting the fuck, why are you laughing, RA? It was a complete flop. He grabbed his head and he tapped his glove.
That's what I was laughing at, the flop.
And then I thought you were fucking laughing at me trying to get Rangers fans going because Cowbell lady's probably looking for who was.
No, she's in prison.
Yeah, she's in the clink. But after that scrap though, Trocheck, what a pickup that was for them. Because he basically replaced Dylan Strome, right? So he's providing more offense. He helps out on the kill. He's better at line matching against other teams' top centers. He's tough now, and he only ends up making, $500,000-600,000 more than Dylan Strome. So we talk about all these unreal moves that I'm drawing a blank on the G. Drury has made at the deadline. Look to that move in the offseason and how much it's helped this lineup. But overall, and this isn't an insult to Tampa, but I feel like every fucking game they're getting in with someone. It's just
maybe they're just trying to get something going because they've been so bad. It's like at this point, what do? You're just getting sticked by all these different teams. So just trying to mix it up does something.
The Goons.
What was the other thing? What's the other thing I was going to say about the Rangers? And Kane isn't playing. They say it's precautionary, but still. I don't know if he'll get in a game before the playoff starts to try to at least get your legs going. Not that it would really make the difference to him. He's a 3-time Cup champ. But, Stamkos. We got to talk about his 1,000th game, right?
Yep, absolutely. Thursday versus the Islanders, 1,000th game. He got his 1,000th point earlier in the season. He's got 2 Rashad trophies, 2 cups, plus 2 other Stanley Cup final appearances in 15 seasons. 60-goal season. Only 23 other guys have done that in the history of the league. Just a great player, a great leader. He's got to be rubber stamped to the Hall of Fame, no Whit?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And just what he's battled through, the broken leg in Boston, then missing the Olympics in, I think it was 2010. And then the whole ordeal in the bubble, and he got to play that one game. It had the beautiful highlight reel goal, and then they won the cup without him. And then he gets his cup the next year in his home, in Tampa, and gets to kind of celebrate and play a part of the entire playoffs as the major role. He's the leader of the team. He's the guy who says, what's going to happen in that room. He's been doing it forever. And I think he said it's such an honor to play his 1,000th game with one team. And a lot of guys get 1,000 games with 3, 4, 5 teams. And no matter what, you play 1,000 in the NHL. We always talk about how much that means. But to be the captain of Tampa and to do it with just them and to have all the success he's had, he has had no doubt a Hall of Fame career. And let's not forget, Barry Melrose, his first year, said, I don't know if he could play in the NHL. So just a classic, not even overachiever, because being first overall, I think everyone expected he'd be this good. So just to battle through the injuries, though, that's what's most impressive to me, because he's had some tough ones.
And he's still got gas left in the tank. He might get to 1,500 just like Sid, the way that he's playing. And he's good looking. He's got probably $100 million in the bank. Has played his whole career in Tampa. No state tax.
He's laughing.
Huge hog on him. He's playing with the house's money, boys. This is a flat out playing with the house's money.
And in a year, we'll talk later about all the statistics and how many 100-point guys there are. I think Braden Point will be maybe the quietest 50-goal season I've ever heard of. I don't know if it's him or Rantanen this year, but 50 goals for this guy, and you don't really even hear it mentioned. Maybe because they've struggled as a team, but what a season for this little just water bug. Just the Energizer Bunny out there never stops and scores at will.
I also want to congratulate Jimmy Vesey. Played his 500th NHL game Thursday in St. Louis against the team that actually drafted his father almost 40 years ago. A little serendipity there. And that was a great reception that Vladimir Tarasenko got as well. That was about a 2-minute applause they gave. Did you catch that, Biz? That was pretty cool, huh?
When they played against New York? When they went back to St. Louis?
Yeah, when they were back in St. Louis. That was his first time back since the trade. It was way bigger than most guys get, I would say.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that game in particular.
Yeah, I saw it. It was a loud ovation, and after he said he was pretty emotional, and you could tell how much he was enjoying it. He just had the biggest smile on his face, and the whole Blues team was standing up, banging the bench. The crowd was going nuts. A ton of signs, "We miss you, Vladdy," and some of the seasons he had there, and 2019 and raising the cup. There's no doubt he'll forever be a fan favorite in St. Louis. He was dynamic, and he brought him a cup, and he deserved that. Even though it ended in a tough way, and there was some bickering, and he wasn't happy with not being captain. But when you look back, when it's all said and done, he's a legendary Blue player.
Yeah, it was good stuff. We did mention the Frozen Four earlier, but we didn't really get into the games. Thursday semis, you guys went to those two games when Quinnipiac. I butcher that word all the time. Quinnipiac beat Michigan. Mini beat BU. Then they played Saturday night. How was the game? What was the atmosphere like in the G?
It was really crazy. Obviously tons of Minnesota fans, but Merle's got us into a box with all former Quinnipiac players, and holy shit, these guys were like the craziest dudes in the world. They were so shit-faced. They were such a blast. We had so much fun at the game. Obviously, Merle's had picks left and right. He was hitting everything. So it was an unbelievable game. And I had the QU future, so I was rooting heavy for them. But just seeing how, especially against Michigan, how they controlled the neutral zone, and just like Luke Hughes, I've been watching him a lot this season. The way he's like a one-man breakout.
Yeah.
What they did to him. I went into that game being like, Luke Hughes is the best Hughes brother. He's going to be so good. I left there being like, I don't know if he can jump into the NHL right away this season after how Quinnipiac just played him, the way they were trapping in the center of the ice. So overall, though, the atmosphere was crazy. So the Tampa was a perfect host. I was texting Biz about how beautiful it is around the arena over there. But it was the perfect host city, and we had a blast.
I saw the highlights. I was still on the course. I was unfortunate. BU was the first game against Minnesota, but it sounds like as a former Terrier, it pains me to say I didn't miss much. I think Minnesota took them down 6-2. I read a couple of things. It could have been like 9-2. It was just utter domination. But BU,
everyone was saying how injured BU was. All their big dogs were playing super, super hurt.
Yeah, they were battling injuries, but I've said it. Jay Pandolfo's back there. They're going to be a powerhouse for years to come. I'm really crossing my fingers that Lane Hudson comes back for another year. Could definitely win the Hobey Baker next year. Superstar defenseman, Montreal pick. So being undersized and knowing Luke Hughes played 2 years, and there's a lot of guys, they don't need to come right out. I really would hope he stays. I think that'd be the smart decision, especially with Montreal's not going to be very good next year either. It's not their time yet, so go dominate even more than you did this season and come back. But Comesso's gone, so Chicago signed him, star goalie for BU, so that's going to be a tough one. But even though BU didn't get to the final title game, they still had a hell of a season.
Well, I was just going to say, you're about to hear in this interview, we're going to tee up how they ended up getting everybody to buy in and eventually get to the program to where it's at. But I'll ask you, I didn't ask Rand, because they're getting in maybe sometimes older players, do you think they're easier to teach that systematic hockey to where you said they adjusted to shutting down Luke Hughes? Because aren't typically the people that go to Quinnipiac not the studs at 18 years old? They're maybe getting sometimes the guys who transfer, so their players in some cases tend to be 22, 23 years old even.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And Benny Barr broke that down pretty good in the Chiclets game notes, where just like programs like that, they're not even going after the Logan Cooleys, the Nyes of the world. They're going after, and Rand said, like, they go after character guys that they know will learn the system, that are going to stay for 3 or 4 years. So when they get the opportunity to play against these skilled players, it's a 24-year-old going against a 19-year-old Logan Cooley, as opposed to, a 21, 22-year-old like the other teams. But Win, I'm glad you mentioned Lane Hutson, because that's another point that everyone down in Tampa was talking about. So Cale Makar, his sophomore season at UMass, one of the most dominant years we've seen in college hockey. In 41 games, he had 49 points. Lane Hutson, in his freshman year at BU this season, in 39 games, he had 48 points. So people are super high on this Lane Hutson.
He's insane.
I said defensively.
I think that's obviously what he needs to get better at, but he's so good with the puck and such a good skater. That kid can easily learn to be a really good defensive defenseman just because you can't beat him with your skating. So undersized, that's why that was the other name. Luke Hughes stayed 2 years and Cale Makar stayed 2 years. So no need for him to jump right in to Montreal, go back to BU and enjoy it. But I'm glad, before we put a wrap on this and go to our interview with Quinnipiac's coach Rand, we have to mention that Logan Cooley is so fucking nasty. Talk about maybe being ready, maybe being ready to hop right in. The year Clayton Keller's had, seeing that he's going to be there with that guy, and Michelli, who could be up for Rookie of the Year as well.
Michelli.
Logan Cooley,
Italian.
I see some game breaker in the NHL in that kid. He was a stud.
That Fantilli too, Merles the whole game. After Merles got a couple big deal bruising him, he started saying, "I'd take Fantilli before Bedard.
Yeah, shut up.
Sucks. I want Fantilli."
Shut up, Mur.
Yeah, so it was fun.
I don't even think Fantilli would say take me over Bedard.
No, definitely not.
Fantilli did win the Hobie Baker this year, just the third freshman to ever win it, joining Paul Curry and Jack Eichel, the other two guys, so congrats to him. And Luke Hughes, I'm not sure if you said it, he did sign his entry-level deal with the Devils, so he'll be playing with his brother Jack soon, maybe perhaps tonight.
Maybe I won't be cranking it off, but Pasha's cranking it off to that news. Holy fuck, this guy won't shut up in the group chat. I am praying for, if they get swept in the first round, this guy's never going to hear the end of it.
Let me remind you, Biz. I said, Pasha, Pavel Zacha's a pretty good player. And he said, he's garbage. He goes, he's really good for 6 games, and you don't even see him for 10 games. And then he's good for 4 games, then he disappears for 8 games. We got the way better player in Holla. Pavel Zacha does it at both ends of the ice, 20 goals score. Pasha, I can't wait. I can't wait to rub this in your face. And all you Devils fans, don't even come after me. Blame Pasha for why I'm on the Rangers train in the first round. Because, Pasha, I can't wait. Me and Biz are going to, if we're not with you, we'll be FaceTiming nonstop till you answer, buddy.
And like you said, he just thinks because, he hasn't scored in 10 games. It's like, well, he set up some goals and made some nice plays and made some good defensive plays, and he's not a liability out there like some of the guys you got.
I texted him on the Big Chiclets group. I said, Pasha, I'd like a public apology for you on your Zacha take. I can maybe read it on Chiclets for you to kind of represent. He said, I'm not apologizing for shit. You see our team? You think we missed that guy? So he's doubling down on this.
And you got to thank your Boston Bruins because you guys had that 100-point bet going. And
it's not over, Biz.
It's not over. It was dead. It seemed like it was dead in the water. Then he had a 4 or 5 point night the other night. So now he's at what, 96?
I think he needs 4 points in the last 2 games. And I thought they played the Rangers back-to-back. They don't. Who do they play tonight? They play Buffalo, the Devils?
Yep.
Yeah, so I messed that up. So yeah, I said to Pasha, I said to him in like November, I go, he's going to need 2 points in the 82nd game of the year. And if he gets 2 points tonight, it's going to come true. And then it's going to come down to me just holding my friggin' hog in my hand, begging for him to get shut down in the final game.
If he's at 98 with the last game remaining, do you just go hedge at barstoolsportsbook.com and say Hughes to get 2 points at a plus certain number?
I follow Mr. Ice. 3 + 3 = 7. Elio, I don't hedge. No hedge. Although that bet, I mean, if he doesn't do it this year, that is the worst. That kid is going to get 100 points.
Cornell, you shook your head like that's a crazy thing. They bet $3,000 that he's going to hit 100 points in the last game. And who's the last game they play against? If they're playing,
I just like Whit's theory there. Some guys hedge, some guys double down. I'm a guy who doubles.
Oh, I'm a hedger all day long.
Yeah, you bet like 16 cents a game, so we understand you hedge.
All right, if you have a 10K ticket and you're going into the last game, do you hedge it?
So they don't even play the Rangers. What am I talking about? I'm an idiot.
No, you don't play
the Rangers. It depends how much the bet was. Sometimes I just let it ride if it's not that big of a bet. But speaking of Zaka, he made me $1,500 last night. I bet him to score the next goal. Now my mother's having some dinner at East. I was in the men's room playing with my phone. And I said, I'll put a C note on. I won like $1,500. He scored the next goal. That's just pure luck. There's no insight on that shit. So
you've been hot, RA. You've been super
hot. You've been hot, buddy. Riding the hot.
Perfect time of year to heat up.
Fucking right, boys. Well, what do you say we send it over to Rand Pecknold right about now, boys?
Yeah, and like I mentioned, Canadian folks who maybe aren't into college, no matter what, this is a hell of an interview and a crazy story for a guy who deserves all the success he's now having, because you'll hear as to how much he grinded to get where he's at and to get his program at this high of a level. So thank you so much to Rand. Here he is. This interview is brought to you by Chevy. You know we've been part of the Chevy EV family, but we've got big news. The first ever all-electric Silverado is the official Barstool's most valuable truck. We got the chance to see this thing and experience it, and it is a complete game changer. It's available 400-mile range, GM estimated on a full charge, over 10 feet of length in the bed with the multi-flex tailgate combined with the multi-flex midgate. Large 17-inch diagonal display screen. It can tow up to 10,000 pounds of max towing, 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds with wow mode. Yup, that's wow mode, gets going quick, and up to an impressive 785 foot-pounds of torque. Head on over to Chevy.com right now to learn more. The Chevy EV family keeps getting bigger and better.
Well, we're very happy to welcome our next guest to the show. After working as an assistant coach at his alma mater, Connecticut College, he took over the reins of Division II Quinnipiac at the age of 27 and transformed the program into a nationally ranked Division I team that won its first national championship Saturday night in Tampa. It's a pleasure to have you on the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Rand Pecknold. Congrats on the natty, my friend.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's an exciting moment for Quinnipiac University, and to bring a natty here, it's just you just can't put a value on what we just accomplished. So it was a grind, to get it where we are, but we're fortunate, and I got a great group of guys, and I even feel even more my guys. I love that we won it for this group, but a lot of our alums that put in a lot of hard work over the years. It was awesome. A lot of them were there in Tampa to enjoy it, so it's a pretty special moment.
Yeah, I saw the clip you were telling students there was no class today. Was that jumping the gun a little bit, or was that official when you said it?
Yeah, I don't really have authority to do that, but I did it. I don't know if there actually classes happen or not. I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm guessing a lot of them are going. I think there's a lot of, actually one of the kids invited me to a Dartie, and I didn't know what that meant. It's a day party.
That's a
I had never heard that word before. There's a lot of parties going on around here, I guess.
Well, your story is amazing. We're definitely going to get into that, but I mean, just an amazing comeback. You tie it up late, you get the game winner just that quick into OT. What was the celebration like after? I saw a speech given in the locker room, and then kind of take us into the what went on when everyone finally left the rink in Tampa on Saturday night.
I mean, it's just chaos. It's chaos and bedlam, and it's like I couldn't even explain it. I'm sure it's that way when you win a Stanley Cup too. I know it's a little different level, but it felt like it. We were on top of the mountain. I know for me, I had to go do media, which takes forever. There's like everybody there, and I'm like, guys, come on, let's we got to speed this up. Then I went back in, and they kind of tricked me, and they got me with the water bucket there. And then I did a little celebration. But honestly, I still really haven't felt like I've addressed my team yet and talked to them. And then the next morning, and the guys got after it that night, which we're not going to get into that. But we get on the charter, and so I really haven't had a chance to really talk to my team and address them and anything other than our little, the water bottle thing. And but eventually, at some point, I guess I will. And now it's chaos because now I got NHL teams trying to take my players, and it's all part of it. If you're going to be this good, you're going to lose players.
You got to show up to one of those Darties to address them. They're going to be poolside with their tarps off, getting a nice base tan for the summer here.
I mean, the kid was aggressive too. He's like, "Come on." I'm like, "Listen, it's probably not good for my job security here for you to be showing up at Darties." So
I want to go back to the game because I believe last year in the regionals you pulled the goalie with about 3 minutes left when you guys had a power play. And then you ended up doing it again with about 3.5 minutes. Like, what made you decide to go back to that? Was it just your gut instinct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm over aggressive getting the goalie out early. I just believe in it. Like last year, we were losing to Harvard in the ECAC championship, and we had a power play with 6:10 left. We're down by a goal, and I pulled the goal. I went 6-on-4, and you know what? We ran a face-off play, and we scored off the play, and everybody's like, "Oh, Rand's a genius." And then a week later, I did that because our power play a year ago wasn't great. We were struggling to generate, and I'm like, I believe in my team, and I believed it would work, and it did. And then 2 weeks later, we're down to Michigan, and I think it was like 3:57 left. It was a little early, but I had Brendan Moore's line ready to go, which was Brendan Moore, Oliver Chow, and Husven. That was a great line. My top D pair was ready to go. We were fresh. I didn't like the line that Michigan had out there. I thought we could win the draw, and we won it clean. And we just had an unforced turnover, and now I look like an idiot. Why'd you pull the goalie? Well, and then this year I did it. And so, so I look at it like it worked against Harvard. It didn't work against Michigan last year, and it worked against Minnesota. So I'm 2 for 3. So 67% is a pretty good.
Yeah, you're buzzing.
Right? Like, I think the NHL mark's like 11%. Like, people don't realize, like, it's so hard to score 6-on-5. So when we got to the Michigan game, the Minnesota game, I'm like, why don't we go 6-on-4? Now I got 2 extra guys instead of 6-on-5. I know they can ice the puck, but I got 2 extra guys. We hunt. We're hard on pucks. We got great sticks. It's going to be really hard for them to have a clean look at that empty net. And listen, it worked out for us. Cooley was just coming on the ice. He wasn't really back in the zone yet, or barely. And we scored the goal because I got Lipkin off the back post, my extra guy, and the goalie's cheating the pass, and Grafford makes a great play and goes 5-0 on him, and we're going to OT. So, you got to have some cojones to do it, but I believe in it. I really do, and I believe in my players.
And in talking to scouts and guys who have played against your teams, for the past few years or a long time, like you said, hard on pucks, tenacious character guys, and it all showed in that third period. I mean, I couldn't believe the domination. Was there anything different you said to them before that third, or was it kind of just standard and that's how you approach every game?
I mean, it wasn't a long speech. Like I knew we had a great second period. I thought we were coming hard. We were working hard. I just went in. I don't remember exactly what I did. I think I just came in and smiled and laughed like that was awesome. And the guys were all like, "Yeah." I'm like, "We're feeling it." It was just more like I'm a big confidence coach, and I just felt the guys needed. Hey, let's go. Let's get it done. It was the same thing in overtime. I was like, "You guys want to do this?" And they're like, "Let's go." And like at that point, you don't need to talk a lot. But it's an awesome group. Just elite character people, that I have on this. That's what we recruit. We want those type of kids. If we're going to go beat them in the Minnesotas with all these, high first rounders and second rounders, like we have to be detailed. We have to outcompete them. We got to outwork them. And I thought we did that. I thought our culture was on full display against Michigan and against Minnesota.
When did the decision go down for the face-off play at the beginning of overtime?
We got face-off plays for all 9 dots. Again, if we're going to be good, we have to be more detailed than a lot of teams. And we run one every time. We actually ran it earlier in the game and it didn't work. Brock Faber actually read it and made a great decision. And luckily in overtime, Brock Faber wasn't on the ice, and nothing against the guys who were out there, but it was just one, everybody had, we had to win the draw clean. Metsa makes a pass. It's a little switch play. A Graf goes and runs a decoy. We pull the lefty out of the seam. There's so many things had to happen. And really, in the end, their center, he hesitated for half a second. And that's why it worked. And sometimes you get in big games. You guys know that. You guys have played big games. People hesitate, and you take advantage of those things.
And it's one of those things. It's like, oftentimes, I guess, overtime championship games somewhat seem to end quick. But I did notice Faber wasn't on the ice. I'm like, he's going to be in the NHL in 3 days. I was surprised by that. That definitely helped you guys a little bit there.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, they have 70 drafts. They have 6 draft picks. The kid Luke Mittelstadt, who played for me at Worlds, is not drafted, and he's gonna go on the NHL. He should. Like, those guys are crazy to not take him. He's an awesome kid, great player. Like, he'll go. So they got 7 drafted. It's not. I know Faber wasn't out there. I don't even know what they had. They had 2 stud D. They're loaded, and we just got lucky. It wasn't the D's fault. It was just that hesitation by that center for that half a second, and that's all you need sometimes.
Who's in charge of calling your face-off plays? Are you doing that as one of your assistants, or is it the centerman's responsibility?
It's Joe Dume handles all the neutral zone stuff. He's my top assistant. He's a rock star. He's one of the best assistants in college hockey, and he handles that. O-zone stuff we do together. D-zone stuff we kind of do together. But in game, Joe calls all that stuff. I got other stuff to deal with. So, we don't have 500 plays, but we've got a few. And that one, again, like I said, it's the jet, and it worked.
So going into overtime, he's the one who addresses the players saying, this is what we're running, or does he consult you at all as the assistant?
I don't have time to micromanage that.
Okay, there you go. Fuck it, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a head coach. I'm fortunate to have him. I think if you're going to be good at this level, and even the NHL, right? I've done Worlds with the NHL guys, and I've done different things with them. Like, you have to give your assistants a lot to do, and you have to trust them, and you have to get out of the way. And I always believed in that. And I remember, it's a great story. In 2017, I did the Worlds. I was so excited. Jeff Blashill hired me. He brought me into the power play. Cappy was there too to do the PK and the D. And I was like, just beyond excited. I'm like, I got Eichel, I got Larkin. I was like, oh my God, I over-prepared. I way over-prepared. And I remember the second power play meeting we had, and Blashill's not there. And I'm like looking around, like, well, I don't want to start without the head guy. And he didn't show up. And I did the meeting, and it went well. And I realized afterwards, Blash wasn't there on purpose. He wanted me to have ownership with these guys. I'm a college guy coming in. They all knew me. They're all college guys. And it was brilliant on his part, because he's like, I'm letting my little kid run, and as a parent or as a head coach, you got to let your assistants have that. And I knew he targeted that on purpose, and he would come sit on kind of half my meetings here or there. But I learned a lot from that moment. I got better as a head coach because of spending time with Blash. That helped me a lot as an assistant, that he had faith in me. He doesn't need to watch over me, and I have to have the same thing with my staff. I don't need to watch over those guys. So it was a great life moment for me that I still use to this day.
Rand, after the big win against Michigan, I actually found my way to the Quinnipiac after party at American Social. You walk in, the whole bar is chanting, Rand, Pecknold. I believe you walked in there. My question here is kind of just how much pressure did you feel? It seemed like the whole fan base obviously never won a national championship before. They're really itching for this. But then you walk into that bar, everyone's chanting your name. What were your thoughts about that, and how much pressure did you feel?
It was pretty cool. It happened after the Michigan win, or after the Michigan? It happened both times.
Yeah, not a big deal. Kids
were trying to do shots with me. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I think that's not probably appropriate, but it's awesome. We have a great fan base. We've only been Division I for 25 years. We're still growing our fans and our students and everything, and took a little hit in the pandemic. Now we're back, but it's just an awesome environment. And I remember both those times. It's just awesome. Everything about the whole thing. I'm on cloud 9 right now, and just trying to get back to a little normalcy, but just still trying to enjoy it too.
So before we get into the backstory, I have many questions about the rise of the program, but just to kind of wrap up, I guess, the Final Four weekend in itself, the Michigan game with Fantilli and Luke Hughes, and then the Minnesota with Cooley and Snuggerud and Nyes. Was there any focus? Was there any individuals on your team you're matching up against those, future NHL stars, probably a lot of them, or was it more a team effort in terms of just shutting down those top-end players?
That's a great question. It's a little bit of both. So the Michigan game, I had last change. We were the number 2 overall seed, so I had last change. I was the home team against Michigan. We got our matchups. I loved what we had the whole game. Minnesota, we did not. They were the 1 seed. We got a lot of the matchups that I wanted. I'm not sure what he wanted. Every coach is different, right? Some coaches are big on matchups, some aren't. I felt once we got into Minnesota, once we got rolling in the second, there were definitely matchups I wanted, but I also really strongly believe I can put anybody out there. And listen, do I want to put anybody? No, but I felt that, and I did do that. because I thought we were just grinding, and we'd always talk about embrace the grind and let's go, and we're gonna outwork people and outgrind them. And so there were times that I didn't go all in. I think sometimes in the college game, and it is different than the pro game for sure. You can get over concerned about matchups, and you can take your team out of a rhythm. So I wanted us in a rhythm, and we had it going. And certainly in the third, I think we outshot them 16-2. But a thing that made us good this year is, I didn't have a fourth line. I had a fourth line, but I don't have a fourth line. But I feel like I have my top three lines. I can put any one of them out there against Cooley, and I did. And that's a big. It's not like I have to have. Brendan Moore's my best defensive line. I didn't have to have Brindy out there. I could go with whomever if those guys were fresh, or I could use Brendan Moore. He's my best face-off guy if I felt like we had a big O zone, a big D zone draw. So I think that was a big reason we had we were 34-4 this year, whatever we were. Was I could utilize a lot of players in a lot of different situations. I wasn't pigeonholed as a coach that I have to have this matchup.
And before we go back, I was just going to ask about that cool embrace with Rob Brindamore before you went inside the locker room to talk to the players. Is he someone that you communicate with on a regular basis, you guys being head coaches and, of course, his kid playing for the team?
I do. Yeah, I do. We've done a bunch of coaching exchanges. I try to every summer do 1 or 2 NHL teams and go and meet with that staff, and they'll tell me, hey, can you present on your penalty kill or your neutral zone? And then they'll say, what do you want me to do? And then there's a give and take. I love that. It's awesome for me. It's a great experience. It makes me a better coach. I'm going to learn from them, and then I'm going to learn because I'm going to over prepare to make sure I do a good job there too. But Rod and I have done a few of those. In fact, one year, I think Skyler was a freshman. We talked. I saw him at the draft in Vancouver. He's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to, I won't say the team. I'm going to ex-NHL team, and I'm doing a presentation. What are you presenting on? And I had 2 topics. One was penalty kill. And he's like, hey, when you're done with that, you want to come to my training camp? Will you present on penalty kill? Because I want to change a couple things. And so I was like, geez, twist my arm on that one. I'll be out there, So I went to their training camp that year, and we went back and forth. And so he's been awesome, though. He's a great person. He's a great parent. I don't have a lot of interaction with the parents here because parents all have rose-colored glasses and they think their kids they all do, right? They all think their players should play more.
Yeah, don't call me parents. Stay away from me unless you're Rod Brindamore.
Yeah, but they've been great. And Rod, he watches every game. He has my video coach send him the clips, and he doesn't just watch Skyler's clips. He watches every single game. So I will reach out to him once in a while, or he'll send me something unsolicited, like keep it rolling or whatever. And he did send me a couple things before the Frozen Four, but he's been an awesome resource and a great parent and a great person, as you guys all know.
2 very successful coaches, but I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say you're probably not crushing the gym as often as Rob.
No, not even close. Not even close.
Well, back to the beginning. You coach at Connecticut College, I believe is D3 NESCAC school. You end up getting the head job at Quinnipiac, who currently is D2. Explain to me when you maybe imagined or thought you could get them to D1 and the beginning of you being there and a first-time head coach, while also, correct me if I'm wrong, teaching history at a local high school. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's crazy. My first year, so I got hired. And really, I took the job because I'd been an assistant at Conn College for 3 years. I wanted to leave after 2, and I couldn't get a job. I didn't even get an interview. I tried everywhere. I didn't get one interview after 2. I did a decent job that I thought, but it's D3. Didn't get anything. I'm like, oh my God. So I went back for a 3rd year. It was Coach Roberts, Doug Roberts, who played in the NHL, was my coach, and then the head coach there when I went back. Great person, awesome person. But I needed to get out. I needed to build my resume. I needed to get out of there. And I really, the only offer I had was the head job at Quinnipiac. It paid $6,700. Actually, they told me $7,000, and then I got the contract. I lost $300 in the deal. I was like, I'll take it. But we practiced at midnight. I had a teaching job 71 miles away, and so here was my day. I got up at 6 a.m., got to my teaching job. I was high school history teacher, Griswold High School. Got home from work around 3 p.m. I slept 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., got up, went down, recruited, midnight practice, got home, slept 3 a.m. 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. So my life was in these 12-hour increments, and we had tryouts. I had 17 skaters show up and 12 goalies. I didn't have enough guys for the team. So I remember doing this, which I can't believe I did it. I met with the 12 goalies, and I literally asked them, guys, if you don't make the team as a goalie, has anybody ever played out before? So I didn't have any healthy scratches that year. It was a train wreck, and I didn't sleep. I was just I'm so competitive. I'm going to grind this out. I'm going to get players. We'll be good. And So anyway, the whole year was crazy. But the first 14 games, I had one win. And I'm like, what am I doing? We beat Stonewall. I always remember that we beat them 9-5, but I'm like, we were terrible. And then we went a little run at the end of the year. We went 5-3 at the end of the year. I played one game. A couple kids quit as the year went on because I was tough on them. I'm like, guys, you can't be drinking beers before practice on the way to the rink. Like I did have a couple rules. So we cut some kids. A couple kids quit because they didn't, whatever. And then I remember beating Villanova, actually, the D3 team back then. But I remember beating them. And I had 10 players dressed for the game. And I didn't have enough players. So we didn't even forecheck. We stayed in the neutral zone the whole game. And then I don't know how we won, but we won the game. I always remember that. But I had one kid who was hurt. And I told him, I'm like, hey, can you dress? And if we take a bench minor or something happens, can you just serve a penalty and then you come right off? So that happened. We took too many men on the ice. He went to the box, came over because he wasn't allowed to play. But it's just everything was crazy. It was just crazy. And then year 2, we got a 9:40 p.m. practice time. And I was like, oh my God, it saved my life. So, and we brought in 19 freshmen in the second year. So I had some players.
So that's when I played against you in the MAC. You were in the MAC league. What would be what was the biggest thing, like changing from the MAC to the ECAC or the new rink? Like what changed the trajectory of the program?
Yeah. So we do 4 years Division III. My 4th year, I think we were like 19-3. Like we got pretty good. I got some big time players in from the USHL, and we knew we were on the path to go Division I. I got really fortunate. So take a step back. My first AD retires after my first year, and we bring in Jack McDonald, who had been the AD at Denver. And my president, John Leahy, at the time, who was brilliant, was like, we're going to go Division I in athletics. And they brought Jack McDonald to do it. And John wanted to do that so we could become a better academic school. It was brilliant, which is exactly what happened. And I'm like, how does that happen? It's really a Doug Flutie phenomena, basically. We did it at Quinnipiac, what BC did with Doug Flutie and that football thing. So anyway, we bring him in. And then Jack's going to take everything D1. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be a D1 hockey coach. And then we're going through year 2, year 3, because it took a little while for that to happen. And then there was whispers like, well, they're going to go get a D1 basketball coach. And they're going to get a D1 hockey coach. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be out of a job. So luckily what happened for me was in year 4, year 5 was going to be D1. Year 4 for me, we were like 11-0 or 12-0 at Christmas. And Jack convinced my president, like, Rand's our guy. He can do this. So I owe a lot to Jack McDonald having faith in me, and I think I am their guy. I've been here 29 years. But anyway, going to your question on the MAC, then we go to the MAC. We get better and better. I think we were like 26-6, but we didn't really play anybody outside the MAC, which is now Atlantic Hockey. And then, the big thing was we built this rink. $65 million. It's a phenomenal facility. That got us into the ECAC. Vermont leaves. They go to Holy Cross. They go to ECA Hockey East, right? And so ECAC needed a team. It was us or Holy Cross. And because we had the ring coming and the commitment, they took us, and then that kind of launched us. And then 2013 Frozen Four run launched us again.
Yeah, that was the first time I was like, wow, they have become like a legitimate top-end program. And I have a good friend, Billy Ryan. He scouts from Montreal, and I kind of asked him about your program. He's seen you guys play a lot. And he mentioned, and I'm sure this will change now, but you even said it was hard to get the top-end recruits, the high draft picks, the guys who were getting full rides from 4 or 5 different schools. So you've always just recruited based on character. Kind of sounds like how you are in terms of building the program. You're looking at kids who maybe aren't getting looked at by the top-end powerhouses, but will probably be there 4 years and are guys, former captains, kids who have just worked their balls off to get to where they're at.
Yeah. We did. So 1 year, Billy Riga, who was an old assistant, I was the head coach of Holy Cross now. 1 year we sat down. And I said, let's go back. Let's do, like, it was, in the summer, like, what are you going to do as a hockey coach? You recruit a little bit, right? You want to get a little golf in, but I'm like, let's be productive. I said, let's go back and go through every kid we've had the last 11 years and just simplify it. Like, they did what we thought they were going to do, like a Matthew Pekka, right? I knew he was going to be a superstar and an All-American and play in the NHL, and he did that, right? So we nailed it with him. We got a lot of kids that overachieve. And then do we have kids that underachieve? It's just 3 categories. And then with each kid, why? Why did they overachieve? Why did they underachieve? Why do kids fail at Quinnipiac? Or why do we have these kids go from being a walk-on and the kid makes the NHL? How does that happen? And the thing that we went through 11 years and we went back, and then what happened over and over again was high hockey IQ, high character was the overachievers, and it was a lack of those 2 things, or a lack of one of those things was a kid that failed for me. They could be a superstar player and a turd of a kid, and it wasn't going to work out here. And so we already kind of trying to recruit high character kids anyways, but that was a wake up call for me. And I don't remember what year that was, but it was probably 2013, 2014, 2015. And then we really over focused on high character, high hockey IQ. Certainly we have tons of talent, right? We got Devon Tays, he's a stud in the NHL, Connor Clifton. We've got Matthew, I got stars right now on my team. These kids are great players. But the thing that we do is we get these great kids in, they got a work ethic, high compete, and we make them better. Like we're as good as anybody in college hockey at our development model. You can go through our whole lineup. Look at Colin Graff. Like, why does he pop this year? He's a transfer from Union and he had 22 points and now he's got 60 in NHL offers. Why does Sam Lipkin pop as a 7th round draft? Why does Jacob Quillen undrafted? All these undrafted kids we have. We have this unbelievable development model that we work on. We've got a great strength coach. We have to develop guys. And I'll tell you a great story. So that 2013 team, we had 27 players on that team. 19 of those kids, right? We lost the national championship game with that team. 19 of those kids, their only offer was Quinnipiac. Like, it's crazy. Like, we shouldn't be there, but we are there. And then going back to this, all the media coverage we get, one of the best questions, somebody asked Yanni Peretz, who should have won the Rector. It's ridiculous. So don't get me going on that. I'm pissed about that. I don't even want to talk. Don't ask me any more questions about that. But he's the best player.
Hey, you brought it up, Rand.
Yeah, I know. I'm mad. So let's move on. But anyway, one of the guys asked him, like, well, why did you pick Quinnipiac? He's like, well, they're the only school that recruited me and offered me. So, it was a great answer. And I was like, they're like, well, I'm like, that's what we get. And now we developed him. And I get a credit to Yanni. The kid works. He's committed. But we have this great program. We got a great goalie coach. And we have to. If we're going to win, we have to make kids players. We've got to make them better.
When you're recruiting them, do you let them know about the 5 a.m. adversity challenges?
5 a.m. adversity challenges? I don't know what those are, but...
Oh, really? Okay. I talked to Jordan Samuel Thomas, who was on that team that went to the finals, and he said that you would do these random adversity challenges at 5 a.m.
Yeah, he's a little off. It was 6 a.m.
Okay, sorry.
5 back then. So what we do...
You're getting soft now. You're getting soft going to 6 a.m.
What we do on Saturdays in September, our strength coach with me, we decided, like, we go at 5 or 6 a.m. I think it's 6 a.m. now, to tough them up a little bit mentally. And if they don't like it, go to another school, go to a country club. So we do that a little bit. I don't do that during the season. I got off. You threw me off with the question, but yeah, we do that. Yeah, and I love JST, by the way.
Biz, his recruiting pitch is the 6-to-1 girls to guy ratio at Quinnipiac. And then RPI, where I went's the complete opposite of that. So that's how he does it. Don't let him fool you.
I don't think I don't think you returned our phone calls back and it's clear. I get it. But we do have, it's a benefit. And what we want to do is we want to get kids to visit. They see the rink. Actually, this summer, we're doing a whole renovation, $2.5 million in our locker room, which will be great. The rink's awesome. The locker room we have now is fine, but we'll do that. They see the campus. And then I'm not going to lie, it doesn't hurt. We do have a high girl to guy prop ratio on campus. It helps for sure.
I had a great conversation with him. He reinforced like the culture and what you guys enforce and how he was a transfer and how he loved it there. He also did mention, you already talked about the penalty kill and also this 1-3-1 where you were really big on the 1-3-1 in the neutral zone and you guys would have them run the routes for like 20, 25 minutes, no pucks on the ice. Just so that mentally in their head when they were fatigued, they would just know what places to go to. Is that still something in the neutral zone that you enforce?
Yeah, again, JST's got a selective memory. I'm gonna have a chat with him. We have pucks involved in the thing. I don't do anything about pucks. I never line our guys up and sprint them. I can't even remember the last time I did. We never ever do that for condition. Our practices are awesome. We're at pace. That's how they get in shape. They get in shape. That we don't need to do that stuff. But we do practice our neutral zone. I call it neutral zone 1 puck or 2 pucks. And then it runs into other things that we can get some D-zone coverage, puck possession, some different things, our routes. I call it a 1-1-3, but you can call it a 1-3-1. I put it in 2008. I felt like when you run a 1-2-2, right? It's always a read on who the back checker is. And I'd always have these kids that were defensively deficient and they would blow that read. And I was like, oh my, and it just was like, really? Like that's oh yeah, coach. And it just was over and over again. And I knew what the 1-1-3 was or 1-3-1. And I knew a lot of teams in the NHL did it. And I just made a decision to go to it. And we tried it about half a Christmas of that year. I think it was the 2007-8 season, Christmas, we did it. We were good at it. And then what I did was I tracked down Barry Smith from the Red Wings. And the Red Wings this is basically what I do in neutral, is what the Red Wings ran to win 3 cups in that 5-year span. Was it 98, 99, 03, whatever that span was? And I tracked them down. I said, hey, can I fly you in? I'll pay you a stipend. I'll pay all your expenses. And we just spend a day together and we just talk hockey. And I pick your brain. I want to learn the neutral zone, but I want to learn everything. And he came in, and the guy's a genius, and he helped me with so many things. And I felt like I understood the 1-1-3, but what he did was teach me how to practice it. He gave me some of the small nuances, like how to do things, and they were just brilliant. And I'm like, oh my God. And so we do those little things. So there's probably people out there right now going, oh, we're going to run the 1-1-3 like Quinnipiac does. Well, if you don't know the little nuances, like, you're not going to be great at it. And Barry really helped me with that. I owe him a lot. Every time I see him, I give him a hug, but I haven't seen him in a little while. But maybe I'm sure he watches your show. But so anyway, that's what we did. And every year in the NHL, there's about probably, I would say, 9 teams that run what we run. It's not that teams don't do it. In the college world, it's very rare. And when teams do it, I'm going to be honest with you, they're not very good at it. They don't know what they're doing. Like, it's a guy that, I'm going to do this. And they're not great at it. They don't know how to practice it. They don't know the retrieval part of it. There's so many little nuances to it. And the Red Wings went all in on it. They actually did it as a forecheck too. I don't do it as a forecheck. I've always thought of that, but I like our forecheck as it is. But yeah, it's a part of our game. And if you watch the Michigan game, like, we bottle them up pretty good.
You mentioned the player Colin Graff just pops off this year. He's a Massachusetts kid. I was very excited for him, but how he transferred from Union. So ever since the NCAA changed the rule where you don't have to sit out the year, how do you go about recruiting or finding out? Because you can't tamper. So, like, when do you hear that a kid wants to maybe leave the school, and then when can you get involved in terms of bringing someone in from a program that you think could really help without having to sit out that year?
Yeah, so now that's changed everything, right? Like, it is the Wild West, right?
Free agency now in college hockey.
It's crazy. So there's, if kids they're not happy with their ice time, why aren't they on the power? Okay, they go in the portal. So, for us, retention is like, if your kids love where you are, if they love the coaches, they feel like they're getting better, they feel like you care about them, and they love their teammates, they're going to stay. And that's been our thing. Like, we haven't lost anybody that's a really good player. Nobody's leaving Quinnipiac because they love this play, and they love the coaches, and they love our strength coach. But if you're not happy with your ice time, you're gone. But you got to wait till they go in the transfer portal, which opened the Monday before the NCAA first round, which was, we're getting ready for Merrimack, Ohio State, whatever. And it's crazy because you're recruiting. But I will say this, boys, like, what happens is there's rumors. There's rumors that get out there, like, someone's not happy, or this kid might leave, or this kid was first line last year and now he's on the 4th line. And so you kind of have an idea a little bit, but I don't think it's great for college hockey, but it's what's going on. And we've been really good at it 2 years in a row, and we're going to kill it on the portal again this year. Like, kids want to come here, they want to play here, they want to play for us. And so it's been good for Quinnipiac, but I'm not saying I love it, but you got to embrace it.
Really, kids easy to coach today compared to, like, your early years, or is it just a different style you had to adapt to?
It's different. It's considerably. Yeah. You gotta, you can't yell like I yelled a lot when I was, some of those guys who played for me back in the day were like, man, he was tough, they probably using a different word. But like I adapt, you got to adapt, and I've mellowed, and it just doesn't work. These kids, they're so fragile. They're not mentally, I'm saying in general, they come out like they're, you got a lot of helicopter parents in the world now, and sometimes they need a hug more than to be yelled at. So, like, everything we do, everything's one-on-one video with kids for the most part. Everything's positive. We'll certainly hold them accountable. I'll show kids what have you, but they're going to sit down with me or Joe Dumais or Mike Corbett or Justin Eddy, my goalie coach. It's like, hey, we look at the thing, what happened here? They know if they're coming to me with us, they've probably already watched the video themselves. We give them access to all of that. So a lot of times you bring them in, hey, I should have my stick here. My blade was turned the wrong way, or like, we teach a lot of those little nuances. But you definitely have to adapt, or they're not going to like you and they're going to transfer.
So rare are you calling out a guy in the middle of the locker room on a mistake being made, even if it's a repetitive mistake?
I think rare is an overstatement. Never. Wow. It's never. Like, and then listen, the way I'm sure you got called out a few times per day.
Jack Parker's listening to this. He's like, I got Whitney and BU in the middle of the game down the tunnel screaming in his face. It was old school.
Yeah. It's rare. Like, once in a while, like this year, I think I yelled once at a kid once. I really do. And I feel bad that I did it. I have to grab him eventually and apologize to him. I did it once. because he needed a jump start. He was really struggling in a big game in one of the NCAA games. The guys that I could, like Timmy Clifton and Connor Clifton, they loved it. They wanted to be yelled. They needed that. But other than those two in the last 10 years, and I had a great relationship with those guys. I love those two. They were great players for me, great kids. But that was more like, you have to adapt to every kid, but it's just our environment that we have at Quinnipiac. It's positive. The kids walk in our locker room, they feel comfortable. They feel safe. They love coming to the rink every day. They're excited. Our slogan on the door is "Attack the Day," and they buy it. It's real. They buy into that. They're like, they go in the weight room and it's game on. They're like, let's get better, And so many guys that play at other schools, it's like, how do I get out of lift today? Oh God, I don't want to go lift, or I don't want to go to practice today. I want to go darty.
I want to be at a darty.
Yeah. So you have to adapt, and I feel like we've done that as a staff. And the one-on-one coaching, like you create that trust factor, and it's not a fake trust; it's sincere, and they know that you care about them. I want to make you better, so you're better. You can play better here. You can play better in pro, and we can win more. They know it. It's win-win. So that's what we try to create.
And the way I asked about the transfer portal and how you answered it, I'm sure maybe similar feelings with this whole NIL thing in terms of college athletes being able to be paid now. Now, I would imagine or guess that the Big Ten schools with the big money in the football programs have a lot more money to throw around, but have you guys had to get into that? Is that a part of now talking to alumni? Like, how do you approach, I guess, paying it? Is it even a big thing with college hockey yet?
They offer them $6,700, just like
$6,700 is first contract. And you could teach history if you want to, an hour away.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let me give you a call. That's a great question. You've done your homework. I'm impressed. That's why your program is so successful. But it's an awesome question. So basically, basketball and football, they're all in with the NIL, with the collectives, and they are killing it. Kids are getting $100,000, $500,000. Backup quarterbacks are getting $50,000 just to go to school X. Hockey is behind football and basketball, but starting to catch up fast. And the Big Tens and the big schools are going to leave the little guys in the dust. And if you don't get on board with this, you're going to get killed, because it's coming. It's not all in yet. We definitely lost a couple of kids this year, so it should not be a form of inducement. Well, we lost a kid. I won't name the name of the school because they gave him $100,000. I think it was for 4 years, $25 a year for 4 years, and you can't do that, but they did it. Because and even the football and basketballs are all doing it. So it's something you better figure out fast, or you're gonna get really left in the dust. And the big boys have the donors and they have the budgets, and so it's college hockey is already kind of a have and have not situation. It's going to become more of that unless you can get your donors on board.
Well, now we know where the needing a hug came from with the interview after the game with Colby Cohen. Did you know Colby before this, or did you ever?
I do know him a little bit. Colby and Buchagras, they covered us in the regionals, and they were in the same hotel, so I might have bumped into them once or twice at the restaurant there. So, and I've known those guys for years, but I know Bucci a lot better than Colby, but I know them. They're good guys. They do a great job. Actually, talk about homework. Those guys do their homework. They're great. They might come and say hi to me, but they're pumping me for intel. They're pretty good at their job. They're good F1s and good F2s for sure.
Ran, I kind of just wanted to talk about the state of college hockey. We kind of just mentioned all the big football schools with a ton of money. I'm such a huge advocate of growing the game out west. We saw it with Arizona State, but getting the Pac-12s, the UCLAs, the USCs, the Oregons, getting those schools to buy into hockey. Do you think that could be successful, or do you think I'm crazy?
I think it would be a home run. I think those schools are crazy. Like my wife went to Duke. I mean, oh my God, have Duke out of program, North Carolina, University.
Get the SEC schools in the mix, like Alabama.
They would kill it. They would kill it. Now listen, you got to hire the right coach, for sure. And there's plenty of those right coaches that would be like, oh, I'm going to go, spend the next 10 years in Gainesville or Raleigh, North Carolina, or whatever. I pick your UCLA. I don't pick your school in a warm weather thing like Arizona State did. I'm shocked more of them haven't got on board. Arizona State just showed. Penn State's not that old. I mean, I know it's not as far south. They've killed it. They've been in the NCAA tournament. Like, why? As long as you're going to have the resources, I think the biggest thing holding that back is you need a donor. So Penn State did it. They had a donor, right? $88 million. Arizona State did it. They had a donor. I don't know what it was, 40 or 50 million. Like, you have to have that donor, but those schools all have those people. They do. But I think it's coming. I'm shocked it hasn't pushed along faster. But I think if you had the right alumni and the guys like, hey, I want this to happen and I'm going to write a check for this many million, you got to get a rink too. Obviously you need a rink. So that's where a lot of the money's going to go to. But to get it up and running, and then you got to add the women's program because it's gender equity for the most part, unless you can stick handle around that. But I think it should happen. I think they would kill it.
In terms of the ECAC this year, I mean, 4 teams end up getting into the national tournament. That was great. But you guys are big favorites, and you end up losing in the semifinals. Was that a tough thing for the guys to kind of deal with, or just because they knew they were already locked into the NCAAs, it was kind of wash it and just get ready for the regionals?
Yeah, I mean, that loss to Colgate in the semifinal in double overtime, that's probably the impetus for us to put the nail in the coffin for us to win a national championship.
Nice.
I felt in the month of February, and my guys, they're awesome kids. They're awesome. I thought they were just getting tired of listening to me. And I was gone for a month for World Juniors too. They had a break for me. I thought that would help. But so what happened in February and even late January, we wouldn't play great and we'd still win, right? We wouldn't play great and we'd still win. And they're like, what does Rand complain? We still won. We still, and they just feel like they're invincible. And we kind of were straying a little bit from our identity. And my goalie's a stud and he would bail us out when we needed to, or, I got a couple, Metza or Graf, they'd make a play and we'd win. And so I was losing them a little bit. And I'm really mad at myself about that before Colgate, because I knew I was losing them a little, and I probably should have snapped on them before we went to Lake Placid, because I didn't feel like we were all in. And I know that's hard to say because the week freaking before we played in the quarterfinals, we held a team to 5 shots on net in a game. So they're looking at me, and I want us to be better, and they're like, Coach, the team had 5 shots. And I'm like, well, that's good.
Give us a break, Brand.
So I stayed the course and I stayed positive and I stayed, this is great. Let's, and then we got to Colgate and played probably one of the worst games of the year. It was a train wreck. Like we couldn't manage we had 1 million turnovers. We didn't handle the moment well. We stunk. And I'm really mad at myself. Now, the crazy thing is we still almost won that game, and if we win that game and move on and maybe win that East, we probably get knocked out somewhere along the way. We don't, to me, I think that's a big reason why we just won a national championship. It grounded our players. It got them back on board with, this is the Quinnipiac identity. We're going to listen to Rand and Joe and Corbs and Eddie. And, I didn't want that loss, but in hindsight, that's why we won a natty.
See, I thought you won the natty because you had Bubba behind the bench with you. He won 2 Stanley Cups in Tampa. Yeah. And now he won there. So I got to give him a shout out. He just wins wherever he goes.
He does. Did you spend time with Bubba somewhere along the way?
My brother did, but I ran into him during the weekend down in Tampa, and he was keeping it pro whole weekend, unlike myself. But you had him even. He was doing everything exactly what he did the night before every game, and you got a real gem there.
And he's awesome. That's part of our whole culture here to me is, I didn't know in my early years, how important your athletic trainer is, how important your equipment. I was like, it doesn't really, that's not what's important. And now I'm like, that's everything. Those guys walk in the locker room and they need to like those people. Those people are a big part of your program. If you've got negative guys or bad people in those spots, it can just sabotage. And I didn't really,
the grumpy equipment guy, the grumpy trainer, it'll just ruin
they'll kill you. They will kill you. Just like a kid, just same as, your leading scorer who's, who doesn't want to back check, who doesn't want to block a shot. You're done. Yeah, how are you going to get the other kids to do it? And you keep playing that kid, you're done. Your best players have to be eating pucks and tracking back on pucks like my best kids do. And then it's like, well, how do I not do that? If I got a Matthew Pekka, a Connor Jones, or Colin Graf, or Zach Metz, blocking a puck with their face, everybody's like, well, I better do it, right? I got to get on the train. But going back to Bubba, he's a great guy. We're really lucky. We've had him 2 years now. He spent 14 years with the Lightning, and that's, that was a no-brainer for us to get him on board.
I see the Devon Taves jersey behind you, an Islanders jersey, ironically, probably the worst trade Lou Lamoriello ever made. But, he was a 4th rounder. Connor Clifton, you mentioned, a 5th rounder. Did you see both of those guys, Taves especially, considering he would have been on the Canadian Olympic team had the NHL players gone last year? Did you see right away that these kids were going to be NHL studs, and Taves specifically?
With Taves, with both of them, I knew they both would play in the NHL, yes. With Taves, yes. Great story on Devon. So he came at 19 years old, didn't come at 18, but came at 19. Could have come at 18. we talked about it as a staff. I'm like, well, he's going to be my 6, maybe second power play, but I'm like, let's let him do another year, which he was fine with doing. And he did another year, grew, matured. He played for the Surrey Eagles in the BC League. Well, they went to the Royal Bank, and it was a great year for him. But he still came in as a freshman for me at 19. He was 6 feet tall, and I think he was about 152 pounds. He was this little string bean. Could skate like the wind, great hockey IQ. Defensively, his stick was atrocious when he got to me. He might debate that, but he didn't have a great stick defensively. So Brajesh Patel, my string coach, we got on him. I think when he left after his junior year to sign, I want to think he was around 190 then. I might be wrong off that. I think he plays in that range now. He did a great job with him. Reed Cashman was my D coach back then. Reed did a great job with him. His stick on puck skills. He turned into a phenomenal player. He actually didn't draft until after his freshman year at Quinnipiac. I told like 10 of my buddies in the scouting world before he came to Quinnipiac, I'm like, take him. He's the best 7th round pick you'll ever have. And none of them listened to me.
So he was passed over.
Correct. Yep. Nobody took him. We've actually had a lot of guys undrafted and then get drafted after their freshman year. Chase Prisky, Taze, who else? We've had a few. Charles Legault's on our team now. He should go in the draft this summer. He's been passed over twice. He should go. He's one of our D. But with Taser, getting back to him, like he just worked at it. And, Reed and I don't know much Devon knows this. He's probably going to watch this and kill me. But like Reed and I, Devon's freshman year, Reed and I would talk every single day in the morning. How are we going to coach Devon today? What are we going to do? We would do that about every player. How are we treating? Are we giving him a hug? Are we tough on him? Because he needed to mature. He's a great person, but he needed to mature. He was only a 19-year-old kid, and he needed to mature into getting a better work ethic and to being more committed to stick on puck. And if you do these things defensively, you'll get more points offensively. And he took a huge maturity spurt as a freshman, another big one as a sophomore, and as a junior, he was our best player. I don't even think he was an all-star in our league. It was crazy. I don't know what I'm still mad at the coaches. And I got to go back and look at that. I don't even know, but he was like a Corsi machine. He was so good on our team that year. And I remember when he asked me, he's like, Coach, the Islanders want to sign me. I'm like, what do you think? And I'm like, Devon, I would love to have you back, but like, you got to go. You're ready. And he was ready. And listen, he was ready for a little season. And then he sat in the AHL forever. And I'm like, what? I would go watch, because he was playing in Bridgeport right down the street. I'd go watch his games. And he would dominate. Like, it was ridiculous how much better he was. Like, why are they not calling him up? And they were just trying to season him a little bit more. And he spent a lot more time in the American League than he probably needed to. But anyway, that's your initial question. I knew he was going to play in the NHL. And then as I got him after his junior year, I'm like, he's going to be a really good player in the NHL. I remember getting into a couple NHL coaches about him, and I was talking like this about him. Like, he's not elite. He's not elite. I'm like, well, give him some time. I think he will be. I'm not going to name his name, but I got in a battle once with one guy who kind of called me out on it. I guess I'm right. Maybe I should reach out to him now. I think it's pretty good.
Told you so.
Yeah, well, you already talked about the World Juniors. You coached the World Juniors this year with the U.S. team. I'm a big prospect guy. You're talking about knowing NHL talent. You got Bedard, you got Carlson, you got Fantilli. How good are these guys? Which guy would you take number 1 or number 2? Well,
Bedard, it's not a question. It's not even fair. Like, he's a video game. Like, it's like we all know he's generational. He was so crazy good in that whole tournament. I actually thought we did a decent job. I mean, he did score 1 goal off a face-off play on us, but I thought we did a really good job on the power play against him and not letting him do what he likes to do. Fantilli, interestingly, I love Fantilli. I think he's a great player. He's going to be a great NHL player. Canada didn't play him a lot. That's how good their team was. Like, he was kind of like 4th line, second power play. They didn't kind of got in the doghouse there, but they didn't need him. Like, they were so deep and so loaded. That's one of the deepest teams at World Juniors probably in the last 20 years. It was scary, the talent that they had. I mean, they got NHL guys coming back to play, like playing NHL games. It kind of wasn't fair. And don't get me going on the game with Canada, the 2 goals we got called back.
Listen.
Yeah, I can hear that. You still got something there.
I think I had a viral clip. People are still coming at me saying I'm an idiot, but I'm with you, Rand. That was bullshit.
Well, the Jackson Blake, that's a goal. It's a goal.
It's a goal. That was the one I went nuts about.
Yeah, like we got hosed, And it's funny. Everybody's like, well, you were so calm on the bench, and why were you yelling at the refs? And I'm like, neither one speaks English. I already had them in the tournament. I just came on this, I think I cost us. You couldn't yell at them because they literally none of them spoke English. But anyway, getting back to the guys you asked me about there, they were all really good. I was impressed with my American group. Like, I couldn't believe, I knew how talented these kids were, but the character, like really high-end kids, like Luke Hughes is a rock star of a kid, like great person. I listen, I don't want to go through the whole list because I'd probably leave somebody out, but that blew me away. I went into that and I couldn't believe how good a kids I had on that team. It was awesome.
Now, getting that job, a huge honor. But would you have been weary of taking it? Because you said you're gone for a month, but you probably knew this team's good enough. We're going to be there at the end. But if it was a different team that you had, would you maybe not want to be away from the team that long, or just getting the chance to coach U.S. World Juniors no matter what, you're taking it?
No, I'm taking it no matter what. That's the job of a lifetime. I mean, oh my God, I was waiting forever for him. And when Beezer offered me the job, he's like, "Do you need to talk to your wife?" I'm like, "No." It was supposed to be in Russia. We were like, no, that's what the tournament was supposed to be. He's like, "Well, it's in Russia." I said, "No, I'm in. I'll talk to her, but I'm in." But no, for me, like Joe Dumais is so good. I'm like, we won't miss a beat with him. Mike Corbett's great. My other assistant, Justin Eddy, my goalie coach. I did take Sean Roach, my video coach, who spent time in the NHL. I took him with me to Worlds. Bubba went with me to Worlds. And Bubba's son, Quinn, took over here, doing the equipment here. But no, we didn't miss a beat. We didn't miss a beat. But I wouldn't have hesitated with the staff that I have. I might have thought about it a little bit, but God, I've been really fortunate. Like I can't remember the last time I had a bad assistant coach. Like I really have a good staff. So and it's great for them to get ownership and to run all the things.
But now you're winning though. You're going to start losing them. Are you getting worried about that?
Well, Joe got offered the union head job last year and he turned it down. I was like, what? I mean, that might be the most important thing that happened to us. You know, like he's like, I love it here. And you know, he decided to stay. But yeah, I'm going to lose my staff. And I lost Riga a year ago. I lost after 16, Cashman, the NHL came calling. I lost him. He eventually, was in the AHL and he was with the Capitals. So that's what happens. You win, you're gonna lose your staff, and you better hire well as you move forward.
Well, for him to stay instead of being the head coach of Union, that says a lot about you. And this is just an amazing rags to riches story. Talking to you, it makes a lot more sense now in terms of your work ethic. I'm a BU guy. I think Pandolfo's going to get them right back where they need to be. But Grinelli, he had a plus 750 ticket on you this year, so he took home some money because of you guys. But congratulations on everything.
I went 2-0. I had you both games.
How much did you guys win? Can you disclose that, or is that off the
$650, right? Grinelli?
I won 750.
Why didn't you bet? Well, listen, why didn't you bet more? You should have won more than that if you bet on it. You should have put more in the pot.
I know. Tell me about it. I was
still getting called on.
All week.
I'm not going to tell you how much I won because you're going to probably ask me to put it into the nil account now so we can get some more players. So, but I did well. I did well both games picking you guys. You guys were plus money both games on Barstool Sportsbook. So I appreciate the Bobcats. We ended up at
Steve Smith from RPI hitting you up for a little donation.
Yeah. And we ended up in the box actually with a bunch of your alumni. Chris, what was his name? Chris White, I think it was.
Oh God, White.
You remember him?
Do I remember Whitey? Oh yeah,
yeah. Yeah, he invited us up to his suite with a bunch of your alumni, so we knew that was good vibes too, that you were going to win, and it was fun to see an ECAC school win.
Yeah, he's a beauty. How was he during the game? Was he fun?
Yeah, we had a good time.
That box was insane. Quinnipiac people sure know how to drink, I'll tell you that much.
And
you got in with the right crew if you're in with Whitey, for sure.
Yeah.
I just had one more. Do you have aspirations of coaching in the National Hockey League, or are you just happy where you're at with what you've built and the machine that's running at Quinnipiac?
The thing about going to the NHL, I mean, I would love to coach in the NHL. I would love it. But to go be an NHL assistant, I'm taking a pay cut. I'm losing all my job security, and I'm never going to see my 4 kids and my wife. So all my buddies that do that are like, you stay right where you are. Would I do it to go be a head coach? Yeah, I would do that. Is that realistic? Probably not. Quinny did it. Jim Montgomery did it. Dave Haxtell. I think those are the 3 guys that have gone right from college hockey into being a head coach in the NHL. It doesn't happen a lot. Obviously, those 3 guys have all had pretty good. Monty's doing a pretty good job, I think, this year.
Decent year.
I had him miss some playoffs,
but you guys know, like an NHL GM. I mean, to go hire a college guy, they gotta be like, okay, this is my guy. It's hard for them to do that, because they end up wanting the pressure on the media and stuff like that. So if you want to take over for me as an agent, okay, but I would do that. I would leave for the head job, but I don't think that's that realistic. But to be an assistant, as much as I'd love it, I don't think it's right for my family. And listen, in the end, I love it here. I have a great thing. It's this. I got a pretty good spot here, and I love the guys that I coach. I love what I do. I show up every day at work. I'm excited about it. I'm already excited about next year. Already trying to figure out our lineup, and we got to let things fall out here now and see. We might lose some guys to the NHL. We might not. But I got to help my older guys too line up some contracts too. So, but a good question. But and listen, I get a little bit of my fix on that is when I go to the World Juniors. When I go to World Championships, I did the under 18s in 2018 with Seth Appert asked me to come in. Hey, can you help me with our power play? And I was like, yeah, where are we going? Magnitogorsk, Russia. Great, I'm in. I had Jack Hughes and Cole Caulfield and oh my God, it was crazy the talent that we had on those teams. So I get my fix with that with USA Hockey, and I'm so thankful to USA Hockey for giving me those opportunities, and hopefully I will get those again in the future. But I do love Quinnipiac, and this is like my fifth child, really.
Unreal run, unbelievable run. Congratulations, well deserved, and we look forward to the continued success I'm sure you guys are going to have. So have a great one, and thanks for coming on, joining the show.
All right, thanks, boys.
We've been part of the Chevy EV family, but we've got big news. The first ever all-electric Silverado is the official Barstool's most valuable truck. We got the chance to see this thing and experience it, and it is a complete game changer. It's available 400-mile range, GM estimated on a full charge, over 10 feet of length in the bed with the multi-flex tailgate combined with the multi-flex midgate. Large 17-inch diagonal display screen. It can tow up to 10,000 pounds of max towing, 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds with wow mode. Yup, that's wow mode, gets going quick, and up to an impressive 785 foot-pounds of torque. Head on over to Chevy.com right now to learn more. The Chevy EV family keeps getting bigger and better.
Huge thanks to Rand for jumping on with us, talking to us this morning. Great coach. You can see why his players love playing for him. And, we appreciate him giving us time. I'm sure he's getting a lot of media requests. So thanks a lot, Rand, and good luck next year. Hopefully you guys can repeat. Meanwhile, back in the NHL, it was the late game Wednesday night. Oilers-Ducks. Oilers beat them 3-1. It was their 6th straight win, points in 12 straight. Then in San Jose Saturday, they made it 7 straight, 13 straight with a point. Pounded the Sharks. Nuge hit 100 points. They're the first team since the 96 Penguins with 3 guys with 100 points. Back then it was Mario, Yager, and Francis. Here's another stat. When Jay Woodcroft took over 14 months ago, the Oilers were 6 points out of a playoff spot. He's led them to a 74, 32, and 12 record since. That's a .675 winning percentage. The second best points percentage in NHL history among coaches with at least 100 games behind the bench. Very impressive. And did you see what they did? What a classy move. The coach in Woodcroft and the GM Kenny Holland, they called up Jason Demers. He had 699 NHL games. They called him up when they were playing in San Jose, which is where he played 300 games of his career to get him his 700. Just an awesome gesture. Did you happen to see any of the stuff with the San Jose game there?
As far as Jason Demers is concerned, he sent out an Instagram post after it. It was just saying his heart's full. So I think very appreciative, especially you play so long in the NHL, and last year he ended up playing in the Olympics. Ended up going over, maybe it was 2 years ago when they brought all the amateurs over. And then, he spent majority of the season in the American Hockey League. So, sometimes it's taken from you very quickly. And, he was quickly reminded how appreciative he is of the fact that he got to play 700 games in the National Hockey League. So congratulations to him. A hilarious guy in the locker room, just an absolute character. But Whit, I got to throw over the Oilers talk to you, man. This team is just humming right now at the perfect time. Connor McDavid in that second game that RA mentioned, 2 goals to get himself to 150 points. The first time in a little over, what's first time since 95, 96 season where Lemieux did it?
What we're watching right now, guys, it just kind of solidifies how hot my takes are and how correct they are most of the time. And what they did for Demers is all class. And with what the Oilers have done the past 15 seasons, that makes a lot of sense. Just a dominant run. And I think now you're seeing it all come to fruition. You're seeing a team who needed one thing at the deadline. They went out and got it. One of the best acquisitions in terms of Ekholm. He's been dominant. I've talked him up all year. And when everyone was dogging him, including Biz, throughout the season, I said, just wait. And we've talked about Florida hitting it at the right time. Well, they might not even get in. The Oilers are in, and right now they're unbeatable. They look phenomenal. That LA take, you got to be real scared about that. Why? Because they are going to hammer LA. I don't even know if it'll get to 7 like it did last year. They're so good. And let me tell you a beautiful little text I got from my man, Stoff Dog, Bob Stoffer. the radio color analyst, we had him on last year, one of the most electric men in showbiz. He sent me a text. He said, Whit dog, hope you're well. You can pass this along to that buffoon Biz. He didn't say buffoon. I just added that in.
I wish he did.
When Ryan McLeod comes back next week, 11 of the Oilers' 12 forwards will have 10-plus goals. The only one that doesn't is Janmark, and he has 8, and the penalty kills and plays 14 minutes a game. The Oilers are the only team in the league that have 2 50-plus goal scorers and 4 35-plus goal scorers. Jack Campbell has roughly a minus 20 goals saved above expectations. That has cost the Oilers roughly 8 to 9 points, and he's now settling down. We got Skinner, but Campbell has started looking real good. They have the best record in the NHL the second half of the season. No one is better than them. This is a legit team with added size. Kane runs around versus LA last week. Bugastad's look great, another great pickup. Ekholm and Desharnais are nasty shot suppressors. By the way, the Woodcroft stat that RA just mentioned, he finished it off with, they have a chance at lifting the cup. So, Stoff Dog just doing my work for me, reminding the entire world how good this team is, and everyone who says they're a two-man team, they can't get it done, they suck. No, they don't. And I understand, as I rip on Toronto for their goaltending situation, Skinner and Campbell are not at all the most reliable duo when you're looking into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But if one of them gets hot, the Edmonton Oilers can win the Stanley Cup, and I'm going to keep repeating it, and I'm going to keep going over this because McDavid and the way he's playing and running away with MVP this season and looking like the most dominant player in the past 30, 40, 50 years in the National Hockey League, along with Leon, who's a straight-up superstar himself, I just don't see how teams are going to beat these guys. I don't. And like, take a penalty against them, boys. That's the greatest power play that's ever existed in the NHL. The stats prove that since they started keeping power play percentage. There's not much else you could say when you're on a run like the Oilers are run, besides the fact that arena's always rocking and nobody wants to play them in the playoffs, not even your LA Kings.
I mean, that's back-to-back weeks for you defending the Oilers.
The fucking Oilers guys.
That though was goaltending controversy.
Not a controversy. Not a controversy at all. Skinner's our goalie, and the scary fact was that if somehow he played bad, Campbell can't stop a beach ball, but now Campbell looked better.
And the second thing is, you said it last week, the regular season means jack shit.
Diddly squat.
Diddly squat. Yes, everything you said was accurate. Edmonton right now is the far superior team to LA. LA just needs to get healthy. They've been banged up. They've had a tough stretch of games. They've been playing a lot of games in a short amount of time. Once Fiala gets back, once Mikey Andersons get back, and then is it? I always forget the guy's name. The forward. He's got like a Russian sounding name. Come on.
Oh, the Kaliev. American kid,
Arthur Kaliev.
It's Kaliev. It's Kaliev. So those are three pretty important pieces, but. Overall, right now, Whit, I would say that your bet is looking a little bit better. I'm still going to make it though. I'm still if they ended up meeting first round, I'm taking LA over them, and that's pretty much all I got to say for now. I don't have much of a rebuttal. And
I just want to shout out Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. We've talked a lot about him, and in terms of, I don't even think he played hockey when he was like 14 years old for a whole year, and then he went first overall, and he battled through some of those real ugly Ryan Whitney years in Edmonton. And you could always see just an amazing skater, an awesome guy. But for him to be able to break out this year with over 100 points, he really deserves it. And he deserves all the accolades and all the discussion that's been going on about him. Because the way he plays both ends of the rink, to be able to really pop off offensively, everyone always saw it. And then when you get these type players and Leon and McDavid and on this power play, it's no surprise he gets 100, and I'm very happy for him. And fucking man, Zach Hyman is a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog.
You think the Leafs go back and sign him if they could?
I think that considering what they get from Bunting at the price they got him for, no, but yeah, it wouldn't have worked out money-wise. I think that they got they got a Costco brand Hyman for very, very cheap. What was the other thing I was going to say quickly there, what you were just talking about? Oh, Nuge. Some crazy stat. Close to 60 of his points come on the power play, where he's only got 44 even strength 5-on-5 points.
When your power play scores every time you get one and you're on the first unit, it makes sense. But I mean, in terms of if a power play goes cold, I understand what you're getting at, that you need a little bit more.
I wasn't even stirring up the pot. I just thought it was gnarly to see that he's gotten 100 points and close to 60 of them have gone on the power play. So yeah, pretty gnarly. You go down.
Last week, me and G's team, the Boston Bruins, won the President's Trophy, and this week they set a new NHL record with their 63rd win. Also, Pasta became just the second Bruin ever to reach 60 goals, joining the great Phyllis Mazzino, who has the team record of 76, and 3 other seasons with 68, 66, and 61 goals. And Pasta was also the 300th goal of his career. The Bees, clearly the team to beat right now. Gee, do they have any weaknesses you're worried about heading into the playoffs?
Breaking this record, I don't think I've ever cared about a record less than this. I mean, all that matters is Stanley Cup. Winning playoff games. I don't care about playoff records. I want to see load management. Sit Bergeron, sit Krejci, sit McAvoy. I don't care about these records. I had people texting me asking if I'm driving to Philadelphia to see them tie the 63 wins. I couldn't care fucking less. It's such a joke. All I want to see is a playoff win. All I want to see is a Stanley Cup win. That's it.
So the teams, they passed the Canadians and then the Lightning and then I think the 94, 95 Wings, maybe it was. And, the Canadians in 77, they won the Stanley Cup. But you saw what happened to the Lightning, and Detroit ended up getting swept that year by New Jersey. And all the Bruins fans I talked to, it's been this incredible year. I think most of them agree with G in terms of this record not meaning anything. But there's this worry biz that you could sense on Bruins fans. Like, none of this matters if we don't win the Cup. And, like, what if we run into a hot Sorokin? Or what if, there's just, for this amazing run and this legendary season they've had, there is a serious, scary vibe with Bruins fans. And I can feel it. Because they all know, can it be this good? And we New England natives, we saw the New England Patriots go undefeated and lose to an absolutely miraculous catch by the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. So it's just there's just this sense of panic within Bruins fans knowing that, like you said, Biz, none of this matters starting 1 week from today.
You can't not think of Tampa. I mean, that's all every Bruins fans I'm talking to. It's just Tampa, Tampa, Tampa.
If I'm a Boston fan, I'd get a little bit nervous if it was the Islanders. But to say that they didn't face any adversity this season, I would say that'd be dead wrong. The fact that they end up, and they're more than likely going to break this record, they did so with missing 3 of their stars to start the season. Like, Marchie was out of lineup, McAvoy was out of lineup, and was it Patrice Bergeron who was even out for a little bit?
Grizzlick was out at the beginning.
It was Grizzlick with a shoulder. So those are 3 pretty big pieces. And I want to say someone else even missed a little bit of time. So I wouldn't be, once you guys get the first win underneath your belt, you guys will be like, okay, all right, we can release a little bit of steam here. So, but that Islanders matchup would be the worst case Ontario for them.
Well, the good side of it for the Bees fans is that in a league where you just need so much depth, nobody has it like them. The 14 forwards they have that can play, nobody can match that depth. And then the fact that a really good defenseman's not going to be playing as well, it just shows that even when the injuries come, which they will, they're prepared to handle them.
It sometimes, and not to kind of throw gas on the fire here, sometimes it does get a little bit tricky though. Taylor Hall just got activated off the IR. So sometimes when you insert somebody new in the lineup, it takes a little bit, maybe some time to get the feng shui back. So just be careful and be wary. They got to get them in these last couple games before playoff starts, or that could really fuck it all up.
Shout out Halsey. I just saw Halsey posted on Instagram. He posted his wife's Instagram story. They're having a baby boy.
Oh, so my God.
My former roomie, very happy for him. I shot him a message right away, said congrats. So that's a nice thing before the Cup run. I'm having a boy. We're having a kid. Let's go grab a cup first.
RA just threw a Conn Smythe future on him just now while you were saying that.
No, RA's still just mad somebody paid Marchand's parking ticket.
Yeah, my neighbor. Fuck that noise. John Tortorella, once again.
Wait, RA, what are your thoughts on the Bruins? You didn't really give your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think.
You know what?
He's panicking. I can tell he's panicking.
No, I wouldn't call it a concern, but it's something to keep my eye on. As great as Elmock's been this year, he doesn't have a playoff win yet. He's got limited playoff experience, so hopefully he'll keep doing what he's doing. But the playoffs are a different animal. I mean, we saw Pekka with Nashville a few years ago, lights out all year. Come to the Stanley Cup, he was brutal on the road. So it's just something I'm kind of like keeping my eye on. I'm not like worried about it, but it's just if there is a weakness, if there is a Achilles heel, it could be that. But
could you imagine in the same podcast saying that
he gave you a dirty look?
The Vezina winner, you have no faith in him going into playoffs after he just
bringing it
that he just led to the greatest regular season of all time. I've fucking heard it all, folks. This should be what gets clipped. This, not any of the the depth and this and overcoming adversity, blah blah blah. RA thinks the Vezina winner is going into playoffs and he's worried about him. Wow.
You are that.
Wowza. But the good news is you have the third best goalie in the league based on stats to back him up. So you're laughing.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not worried. If I had to find a potential problem, that's probably it. But I'm not worried.
All right.
Not worried.
Fair enough.
RA, the only other thing, and I'm sure we'll get into this in the playoff preview coming out next Monday, is that their power play in a league where you need special teams in the playoffs, it's like not great, and especially lately. So that's something with their like the guys they have out there, they got to figure that out, because if that goes cold, that's how you don't win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. All right, I'll tell you what I see. I'll tell you what I see in the future. You are hot gambling, and I don't think that's ever happened leading into playoffs. I think like the year that they won the Stanley Cup, you are going to go on this insane run. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if we see you in Charlestown driving in a Ferrari come August. That's the type of gambling run you're going to, because you're the type of guy where you just piggyback the Bruins. So along with their success, you are going to line your wallet. And if you're part of the FBI or the IRS, ignore everything I just said over the last 60 seconds, please.
Yeah, my biggest hit ever back in 2011. Not going to say how much of the year, though. I was just talking about John Tortorella. Once again, Biz, up in the press box to watch the Flyers. He had Rocky Thompson run the bench, and it was one of a handful of times that two First Nations coaches went head-to-head. He went head-to-head with Berube. But then after the game, Thompson had a very blunt assessment of the Flyers. Do you want to roll that?
Trying to get their attention. I just said it's not about X's and O's. I said, and quite frankly, it looks like some guys in here don't even care. They're just not trying. And I said, I'm not going to call anybody out individually, but your teammates know, and you know, and I'll give everybody another chance here. And if you're going to do it, then I'll keep playing. If you're not, I'm not going to play you. And so, I don't have that authority typically as an assistant coach, and I'm a little bit more of the good guy when you're the assistant coach, but at the end of the day, black is black and white is white.
That's tough coming from an assistant coach, and after what Tortorella's already said, it's just not good in that place right now. With, what's going to happen with this team? They're just in that no man's land, like seemingly since we started this fucking podcast.
I would say definitely the worst overall NHL season by any team this year. Like, I know there's teams with worse records, but just with what's going on there, and so many times Tortorella calling out effort, and now he's not even coaching some of the games. He's up top watching with Briere. It's just a bizarre situation there. I think you're going to see a lot of movement in the summer. They're going to realize that it's time for a complete rebuild, and hopefully they somehow win the Bedard sweepstakes. But it's tough. And even Thompson mentioned in the clip about, I'm usually the assistant coach. I'm the nice guy, but like right now, black is black and white is white. Like, if you're not going to play, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to play you. So it's just been the Fletcher trade machine app he used, the disastrous, season it's been. All these things rolled into one, and Philly just needs a complete reset. And I don't know what's going to happen. I can't, predict the future. You could tell with my takes that's the case. But it's been an ugly go around in Philly this season.
Yeah, it's been like a horrible season of 16 and Pregnant, or one of those real trashy shows where it's been drama nonstop around every corner. Did you think that Tortorella was going to end this season on a silent note? You didn't think he was going to go out with a bang? Now, I thought it was really cool the fact that Berube and Rocky Thompson coached against each other, and it was the first time in NHL history that two Indigenous coaches had faced off against each other. Now, Did that just happen by chance? Because from my understanding, Torts has been up in the press box the last 3 games, or was that just for that one game?
He did it for like 3 games.
Correct. So he's kind of doing it as this, I'm going to go get a bird's eye view of what fat I have to trim to get the guys out of the locker room that don't want to be here, and then insert, along with all that, a Tony DeAngelo health bomb for 3 games in a row.
Now, playing 5 defensemen instead of playing them.
On a back-to-back, then going with 5 defensemen and putting a defenseman you're paying $4 million a year in the press box. Now, I don't think that I'm a tinfoil hat wearer here when I think we can align the two things where that message is maybe being sent to Tony D as one of the guys who might not have a big enough give a fuck meter. So, and on top of all that, they asked Torts, okay, assuming that this is one of the players that you're talking about, what has been the conversation that you've had with them? Well, going back to like the hazy stuff in the middle of the year there when he was a healthy scratch, or he was on Millionaires Row on the bench and didn't get a shift in the third. No dialogue. In the 3 games that he's been a healthy scratch, 0 dialogue between Torts and Tony DeAngelo. So it seems like Torts loves letting the player sit in limbo and not actually communicating what his total thoughts are. He might think, well, based on Rocky Thompson's media press conference, that Tony DeAngelo can listen to it there and understand that he's one of those guys. But overall, put a nice fucking check mark on the season for a shit show. And this is the first of 4 on a 4-year deal for John Tortorella. So we're just in the midst of the trilogy here, and as to what this shit show is going to turn out to be. Whit, I may disagree with you, though, in the fact that you said that you think it's a good thing that he's the guy to turn things around.
No, but then I got some. I talked to a couple of different people, not even within Philly, just guys who had played for him, and they were like, no, he's not. So I kind of walked back that take as well. It might be a tough go around to be a rebuilding, like, bottom tier team with Torts at the helm. I mean, just talk about making life miserable. My point was that he's going to get guys to play a certain way and to buy into a culture in terms of effort and accountability every night to try to become a good team. But it might be really exhausting.
But if you don't, it's mind games, and it's a season of Sister Wives. So it's just absolute shit show.
Fucking Sister Wives. You watch all those fucking corny shows?
A little bit. I'd come. Yans is a big 16 and pregnant fan. I used to watch
all the trash on TV.
I used to watch the Sister Wives to maybe see if it would be something I would be down for. Like, oh, you get all these options. That's kind of nice to have that. But then you see how many headaches they cause, and all of a sudden you add 3 or 4 in the mix, and then you're hooped. Then you're really in one.
By the way, you mentioned Yans, and you said you're going to be on with him this week. I texted him. Great timing in terms of Talk getting that job. He's crushing it. He's doing unreal, and I think he'll hopefully get some playoff dates. It's awesome that you two guys are vibing with TNT, and he's now stepping in as when Hank's not there and with Talk being gone, because he's just getting better and better on TV.
Well, and him and Army did the broadcast Sunday, so then you get the game notes in there along with the Rink Shrinks bros. So it's good times in Chiclets land. We have a lot of our buddies making moves in the media industry, so it's great to see. Good thing that Sunburn didn't get Army too bad.
Hold on a sec, fellas. Before we go any further, I want to talk to you about Bugsy Jeans. The most comfortable jeans, chinos, and joggers ever made. Perfect for guys with thick thighs and big behinds. The stretch, softness, and flexibility are life-changing. They're perfect for hockey players because, like I just said, hockey players, they got big butts, they got big thighs. That's why you want Bugsy Jeans, because they fit you to a T. Also, it is the proud official apparel sponsor of the FDNY NYPD hockey game that we're going to this weekend. It is made from buttery soft, patented stretch materials that look stylish but are insanely comfortable. Hands down, the greatest jeans, chinos, and joggers ever made, and they're 10% off now using the code Chiclets at Mugsy.com. That's 10% off absolutely ridiculous comfort that will cause you to never wear anything else again. And, oh yeah, they're backed by a fully 100% comfort guarantee, meaning every single order gets free shipping and free returns if they don't fit or whatever. Try a pair risk-free today and see why over 16,000 guys have changed their lives with Mugsy. Use the code Chiclets at Mugsy.com for 10% off. couple injuries to note. Let's see. Tampa Bay's Tanner Jeannot, he got banged up. There's things he might miss the early portion of the playoffs. Minnesota's Eriksson Ek, he's dinged up. They don't know how much he's going to miss, but the big one, Cale Makar, a lower body injury. He's indefinitely out right now. They don't know when he might be back, but Whit, say he's unable to play. Obviously, we don't want that to happen, but what does it do to the Avs' chances of repeating if they don't have Makar?
If they don't have him for the entire playoff run, I don't think they can repeat. I mean, you're looking at the Conn Smythe winner right there, a truly dominant like postseason run and the best defenseman in the National Hockey League. So how do you kind of replace that? I don't think they could. I think they could win a round or two, but just to actually repeat and go all the way, they need him to get it done. This is where it is very lucky that they have Bowen Byram, because you've seen what he's done stepping into a bigger role, an unreal skater. So luckily they have him, but in terms of actually lifting the cup again, they need him back at some point.
And it's one of those things, too, where you look back as to winning the division and who your first-round playoff matchup ends up being, where them capturing that first spot in the Central, it's fucking massive, because then they get such a...
To not have Dallas?
Oh, Dallas or Mini, man? Are you fucking kidding me? That's just going to be an absolute dogfight. So winning that first spot, like Whit said, winning round one without a Cale Makar playing a wild card, I think you're fine, especially the way that they've done it all season. And as far as he's concerned, I know I joked about Murray being on the IR. I forgot how many times, 3, 4, 5 times. How many times has Makar been taken out of lineup being banged up due to injury this year?
Yeah, the concussion.
3, if not 4. So just all that hockey being played over the last 18 months for that team, guys are starting to get dinged up bad. And then there's really no sign. Have they mentioned a return for Landeskog? It feels like he's going to at least miss the first round or part of the first round. So missing those two components, you got to win that division, and that's why they've been on the heater they've been in, because I think that they know what they're fighting for to win that division.
And shout out to Rantanen, because McKinnon has been, after McDavid and Draisaitl, I guess the best. I can't say his name. I apologize to Oilers fans. Rantanen has just led that team, and McKinnon's come back and just dominated. But like I said before, a quiet monster campaign for him.
Would you put him as that third guy? So I have Sorokin, Tkachuk, and then there was a third guy. Would you say Rantanen as that, or would you?
I actually I think McKinnon might even like with what he's done when he's played. I know he hasn't played the whole season, and if Rantanen's been there the whole year, like he would get it over him. But just how ridiculous, how ridiculous McKinnon's looked. He kind of pops into my head as an MVP nominee. Marner also is going to break 100 points. He's kind of right there. So that's going to be a tough one. I'm really curious to see the final 3 in the Hart.
Just an update on Landeskog. They actually don't know if he will return this season. On March 25th, Jared Bednar said he's just trying to move forward to get to a spot where he can play. We have no idea if it's a week, 2 weeks. I mean, he's making progress, but I can't tell you, not close enough yet.
And that was something that they said prior to the year should be back with like 20, 30 games to go. So it's been a really tough recovery for what was a tough injury. Just shows how ridiculously tough that guy is to battle through all this in the playoffs last year.
As a fan of a team, keep hearing that and not knowing, it would make me frustrated. It's making me frustrated as not a non-fan.
And in a window where they realistically had a great chance to repeat if everyone's healthy, it's so frustrating to lose them when you're like, oh, our time is now to grab a couple of these things.
You mentioned Mikko getting 50 Whit. He's just the third Finn to score 50 goals in the season after Teemu Selanne and Jari Kurri. And did you see the picture online? Teemu he was a little kid. Mikko ran in when he probably looked like he was about 4 years old there. The first Avalanche to score 50 since Milan Hajduk back in 2003. And yeah, they went on a heater too, man. 14-2 run. We were talking about them maybe not making the playoffs, about 2 months ago, and they went on an absolute fucking tear. So,
I think we kept saying, "Hold your horses; they'll be fine."
Yeah. Well, they were kind of.
That might have been one of my takes. I've been ice cold this season. I don't know if you guys know, but
we're all ice cold.
I mushed a team into the greatest single season record of all time. Reverse mushed, excuse me.
Yeah, your boys are back in the news, Biz, the Coyotes. They got this beef with the city of Phoenix. Arizona Coyotes Development files a notice of claim seeking $2.3 billion from the Phoenix City Hall in response to a ridiculous complaint filed by Sky Harbor. It's some boring-ass political beef with the airport complaint, and they don't want them to get this thing in Tempe. Are you illuminate on what's going on here? Because I read it, I goes in one ear out the other.
I don't really pay attention because ever since I got here as a player, it was like, oh, well, we got new owners and they would take us out for dinner. And next thing you know, oh, those owners are off the table. So I try not to invest in all these stories and rumors or whatever is going around in the organization. You guys know I love the Arizona Coyotes, especially a team that employed me in the NHL for 5 years. But I would have to admit, I would say that every league needs a redheaded stepchild, and right now that's the Arizona Coyotes. Anytime there's any type of positive news, like the season that Clayton Keller's having, he has 2 more games to get 1 point to tie Walt Tkachuk for 86 for the all-time season lead in points by a Coyotes player, but yet it's being overshadowed because the city is suing our team. It's just like, it's fucking mayhem. It's crazy, but I would want it no other way. I love the Arizona Coyotes. I hope that in May they get the clearance to build this arena and then everything is onward and upward. Ow, ow, ow. How is that for a breakdown, guys? We're the redheaded stepchild.
I'd be willing to say if the announcement,
Daddy.
So May 8th is the lottery drawing. If they've announced they have the arena before May 8th, they get Bedard in some wild, amazing lottery win. If it hasn't been announced, he's not going there.
I don't even know what their chances would be from a percentage standpoint with where they're finishing.
I don't even know if they'd have the chance. They've played like so good at home this year.
But I think that they fly under like the 2% range. It drops drastically. The first seed gets what, 18% for the number 1 overall ball?
I'm not sure the breakdown, but I think it's 3 teams have like much bigger opportunity than everyone else.
G's gonna hop in here.
This website here is saying Columbus has a 25% chance to get the first pick, an 18% chance to get the second pick, and a 55% chance to get the third pick. Arizona, for them to get the first pick, it says they're 7% chance.
Announced they got that arena May 3rd and May 8th, they're getting them. And that'll be the ultra tinfoil hat crew right there.
But I will say, if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, just sit that one out. If they do somehow get it,
better not say just yet.
If you're an Oilers fan and you're on Twitter, just sit that one out.
And Penguins fans and Blackhawks fans. Blackhawks fans can't say shit either.
Exactly. That's 3 fan bases. Just shove it up your ass.
Before we continue, guys, I got to talk to you about Peter Millar. I was just at the Masters. I know I've brought it up a couple times, but every time I see a golfer that wears Peter Millar, I just know. I can tell from miles or holes away they're the best dressed guys on the course. You see Keith Mitchell. He just rocks Peter Millar. He looks phenomenal in it. And everyone knows that this time of year can bring unpredictable temperatures. Between cool mornings and warmer afternoons, it's hard to be ready for any and every temperature as spring arrives. That's why our friends over at Peter Millar have created incredible performance layer perfect for the changing seasons. As the official outfitter of the USGA, Peter Millar knows a thing or two about high-quality performance. I was wearing these shirts, pants, and quarter zips before Chiclets was even a pipe stream. And the fact that we get to be sponsored by them now is basically a dream come true. It's all I wear when I play golf, and their best-selling Perth quarter zip pullover features performance benefits like 4-way stretch, moisture-wicking fabric, and easy care in a classic design, perfect for cooler weather on or off the course. Sometimes you think, oh, I got to change if I want to go out to dinner after my round. Nope, if you got a poor Peter Millar quarter zip, you just walk on down to your local pub or your local restaurant, and you look fly wearing this stuff on and off the course. Whether you're heading to town or layering up for your next round, do it in style with Peter Millar. Head on over to petermillar.com/chiclets to shop their full range of performance pullovers as well as the entire Peter Millar line. If I wasn't doing this as a job and I wasn't given the chance to wear this stuff for free, I get given this stuff sometimes, I'd be buying it anyways. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. The most comfortable shirt in golf. Get over right now to petermillar.com/chiclets.
All right, that wraps it up for the hockey portion. With the Masters, what's your take on it? How'd it go? A little boring last day there or what?
No, I don't think so at all. I think just an amazing champion in John Rahm. And after my rant last week, wow, I thought Koepka was going to take that bitch down after I just went all at him on Spittin Chiclets. But we got to see a great collapse by him. I mean, he didn't play well, but Rahm was just a machine. And what's amazing is he didn't even realize this till the post Masters, Green Jacket ceremony press conference that he's the first European to ever win the U.S. Open and the Masters. So amazingly enough, Nick Faldo never won both, or Seve Ballesteros never won both, and all these amazing European champions, none of them have ever won a U.S. Open and a Masters. So, I mean, this guy's been a phenom since he was probably 10 years old. He started Arizona State. He was called, I think, the best player not on the PGA Tour when he was 18, 19 years old. It was kind of one of those instances, a McDavid, a Bedard, that he was just destined for greatness. And he seems just like the ultra competitive type alpha male golfer that's bound to win a bunch of more majors. So just to see him do that this week was special because he also had the shitty end of the draw. So he played in the morning on the first round Thursday and the afternoon of the second round Friday. And because of that, I mean, those guys got crushed with the weather. Whereas Koepka was in the afternoon on Thursday and in the morning Friday. So he finished his second round. He had great weather for all 36 holes. Not taken away, he was putting on a clinic. Absolutely ball striking the shit out of it, putting great. But Rahm had to grind through weather for most of his second round on Saturday morning. And he ends up, starting the final round. I think he was 2 shots back. And he just put on a display. He shot 69 in the final round. No mistakes, just perfect golf. He hit a shot on 14. It looked like maybe a little bit of trouble. He hits it, uses a slope and hits it to about 3 feet, makes birdie. That's pretty much all she wrote. But what's truly incredible is the guy 4-putted the first hole of the tournament and made double bogey. So he actually said after that his close friend, Zach Ertz, I believe he's a tight end in the NFL, he sent him a text 10 minutes or 20 minutes before his tee time that said, that first green's looking great right now. Go rip it up. And he brought up, holy shit, don't ever do that to me again. And Ertz responded on Twitter. He said, I'm sending you that text before every major moving forward. But Jon Rahm is, and he wasn't really getting picked. I mean, Rory McIlroy was like the popular pick, and other people were being discussed, and Scottie Scheffler won it last year, but Rahm had put on this clinic. He won the Tournament of Champions in Hawaii. He was just on this crazy run at the beginning of the year, slowed down a little bit on the Florida swing, and I'm sure plenty of people hammered him to win, but he wasn't like the most popular betting option before, and this guy is just so good at golf, and he's well-deserving. Now, Koepka, like I said, it was great to see him explode, and he just, I saw Paul McGinley, who is part of maybe the best sports duo in terms of being analysts and breaking down their respective sport, with him and Brandel Chambly. And there's people who love Brandel Chambly and there's people who hate him, but that guy is dynamic on television. He's so well informed. Try to argue him on anything. He knows what he's talking about. And McGinley was a former Ryder Cup captain and great golfer himself. And so those two guys went back and forth and having great live from breakdowns of the Masters. But he said leading into the fourth round, he said Koepka, he only hit 7 greens in the third round and he still shot 1 over. But you can't continue to miss greens and hit it bad and score well. Like, you can't get up and down that much. No matter who you are, it's not going to last. And that's what happened. He kind of lost his game. He was hitting some balls left. And so many people said to me, why do you hate this guy so much? I have heard countless stories from caddies, from PGA Tour officials, that he's just not a nice person. He's a too cool for school, thinks he's better than everyone else, is always kind of seemingly like a little bit of a prick to reporters when they ask him questions. So I've heard what I've heard. I've heard stories of guys he played at Florida State with running into him and him just straight up big time and him. So just things that, whatever, I've heard it. If you want to yell at me and say you're a loser and you're just jealous of Brooks Koepka, yeah, he's won 4 majors and got $100 million. You don't think I'm jealous of him? No shit, dummy. Thanks for the info, Sherlock. But it was a little interesting to see his post-Masters press conference where he seemed a little bit more humble. And I think
I think he's turning a new leaf. I think this
possibly,
yeah.
and I think he took that money because he was injured for 2 years. He wasn't playing well. His knee was messed up. He probably thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to be the same again. I'm getting $150 million guaranteed from Liv. I got to kind of take care of my future. So he took it. And I think right now you can tell he didn't play great in the final round, but he's going to be in the mix these next 3 majors this year. And I think now he's like, oh my God, I'm back healthy. I kind of wish I didn't leave the tour, considering they now have these crazy payments that are going to start for the top end guys. They'll be making live type money while also playing on a tour that actually means something. So Brooks Koepka, love him, go right ahead. I'm not a fan. I was happy to see him not win. And for anyone who said I don't like him because Dave Portnoy doesn't like him, are you fucking kidding me? For the most part, if Dave doesn't like someone, I'll usually like him just because that idiot doesn't like him. So it's separate issues.
Like him.
Dave doesn't like him because they agreed to do a match where Koepka would play lefty and Dave would play righty. And then Barstool Sports spent all this time, money, and effort of setting up this match. They were going to live stream it the same way we're doing the FDNY game. And I think a week before he said, I can't play, I'm injured, which is one thing. And Dave was like, all right, if he's injured, he can't play. Well, he never even mentioned anything to him, never said anything, and then just planned and did that match with Bryson DeChambeau. So it's like, you made us spend all this money, time, and effort, and you couldn't play because you're injured, one thing. Well, at least come back and play with us when you can. So not only do you not do this match that we planned and did all this planning for, but then you don't even say a word to me, and you just do another match with DeChambeau, never wrote him back or anything, and so Dave has his own beef with him. That ain't why I dislike the guy. I'm able to say world-class golfer, unbelievable player, just doesn't seem like that good of a person. Yeah. So it was a great Masters. Rahm was a machine. Phil Mickelson, for Christ's sake, who has been playing absolute shit golf since he won the PGA Championship at Kiowa, shoots a 7 under 65 on Sunday to finish second place. I think the oldest top 5 finish in the history of the Masters. If Rahm had somehow exploded, he could have fucking won the green jacket. So Phil, who's a straight-up sociopath, just goes on this run at Augusta, just an unbelievable Sunday. That was, he birdied 17 and 18. He birdied 5 of the final 7 holes. He's like 53 years old.
Doesn't the course align better for lefties? And I think he notoriously shoots very well there because it seems more of a snooker type track where you have to put it into these pockets at Augusta, right?
Yeah, in a sense. So there's a lot of right to left holes. So for a lefty, it's probably a little easier for guys to fade it and hit it right to left as it is for a righty to hit a draw, which is right to left. So Bubba Watson and Phil, they've had a lot of success being lefties. The other thing about the Masters, though, is that you can kind of spray it anywhere. You can hit it left and right, and you're going to be in another fairway for the most part. So a guy like Phil, who usually drives it widely, it doesn't really matter, but he actually drove it amazing. He drove it like better than he ever has this weekend, so that wasn't part of it. But the other thing about Rahm is, too, he won the Masters doubling the first hole with a 4-putt, and on his final 72nd hole, his drive didn't even reach the fairway. It was a snaphook left that hopped out of the trees, and he was like 330 yards away. So it just shows it's not always the best start and finish when you get it done. But I still had a great time watching. It kind of sucked for viewers in terms of Friday and Saturday being washouts near the end and the beginning. But in the end, Sunday, everyone got to watch about 30 holes of golf. And Rahm was a machine. He was a clinic and a worthy champion.
What the run that Rahm's on right now, what would you compare it to in the golf world? Like, when's the last time a guy who's been on a run like this?
So, I mean, Scheffler did it last year. Scheffler was starting to do it this year. Tiger went on runs that trounce current runs. Rory's been on these runs, and Rory's another thing. I mean, what a mental block this guy has. And he is one of the greatest golfers of all time. His swing is perfect. His swing is beautiful. When he's putting well, it's incredible. But he needs one more major to win the Grand Slam. I think there's only 4 golfers who have done it, or 5 golfers who
win all 4 majors.
To win all 4, and he needs Augusta. And every year it gets harder and harder. And this year was ugly because he's been the mouthpiece for the tour. He's thrown a lot of chirps at the live guys, and now it's time where everyone's getting together for the first time, and you're number 1, number 2 player in the planet, and you don't even make the cut, and Phil Mickelson finishes second. So it shows the mental aspect of golf is unlike any other sport. Maybe tennis, I guess, but not even tennis because you're not thinking, you don't have time, you're reacting. Golf, this guy's going to Augusta now. He knows he now has to win, and he just can't play there. Last year he finished second place, but it was like a crazy 64 on Sunday. It wasn't like he finished second and was in the hunt to win it. So it just shows the mental aspect of this thing's crazy, but that's a dud for Rory.
Wait, do you think the live guys had a little extra motivation? I think, 3 of the top 5 were live guys, right, on the leaderboard?
I think big time. And I think if you look at the 3 guys, so you got Mikkelsen and you got Brooks Koepka and you got Fat Pat Cheatin' Reed, who's just, talk about scumbags. This guy is an all-time scumbag, but all 3 of those guys are dudes who just love being the villain. I don't necessarily know if Phil loves it, considering at the Champions Dinner, which is the meal on Tuesday night of the Masters, that
what happened?
Only former champions go, and the champion from the prior year makes the menu. He's a very loud, talkative guy. He didn't say one word. He sat in the corner, silent. And I don't know if it was him just being uncomfortable or trying to, say something without saying anything actually, or just keeping it all about Scotty Scheffler. But he didn't say a word. But then Phil and Reed and Koepka, they just have that chip on their shoulder of like, fuck them, fuck everyone. And I chirp Patrick Reed, but that guy, he's a sociopath too. And he almost gunned down Rory, I think, this year for a title in like Abu Dhabi or something. So all 3 of those guys, yeah, they went there getting chirped for playing on a tour that doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything, only 3 rounds, and then 3 of them finished in the top 5. So you're right, all right. Those 3 athletes, though, they are guys who probably really thrived on being the villain.
Yeah, I mean, Mikkelsen was like 200 to 1, I think.
Oh,
crazy big odds there, but
I can't imagine like what it would have paid to take him as the top American finisher. Like, it's just wild odds. I'm sure people won some dough on.
Terrific breakdown as always, Whitney. About to wrap up here. Don't forget Saturday 4:15. We're going live on Barstool.tv and the Spittin Chiclets YouTube. Gee, any other things to add?
Yeah, make sure to watch the documentary, the one that Sean Apuzzo and these guys put 9 months into filming. 45 minutes long. It'll give you the entire breakdown of this 49-year anniversary of this game being played. I forget where it ended up starting out. I think we went to the rink, but by year 3, it was already at MSG. So that's how much steam it gained quick. And there's also one player that apparently his mom is an absolute missile. And they all joke.
Bobby Schrafer. Yes. Schrafer's mom has got it going on.
Yeah, that's got to be brought up by the opposing team, I'm sure.
And guys, one last thing. We have tons of NYPD hockey, FDNY hockey merchandise right now on our site. Tons of the money is going to a good cause. We've talked about the charities it's going to for the game itself. Tons of money is going to charity as well. But if you buy the merch, you can directly donate to the charity.
Gee, that's a great point, because I've heard some people chiming in about, too many ads. In the last, let's say, month, we've had 7 ads. It's to raise money for an amazing cause, which is going towards this game. So there's a bunch of sponsors that hopped on last minute in order to sponsor the game as well. So as G just mentioned, we did it last minute, but it's also going to a great cause. And I know it jams you up in the interview or the ad department, but I think we can all, hey, it's a free podcast.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
And just a last final mention. We love you all. That's one thing, but also starting next week, we'll be coming to you Monday. And when you hear us Monday, that night, there's playoff hockey. So we're all ready to go. We'll be Monday and Thursday drops for the next few weeks, first and second round, and we're so excited. So you'll hear from us a week, or less than a week from when you're listening, and we'll be previewing all of the series in the East and West. And that night, after you listen, there'll be about 4 games on, so let's go.
One last one. If you're looking for a good show to watch, Beef on Netflix. Great show. Check it out. Stephen Young from The Walking Dead and the comedian Ali Wong. Check it out. Good shit.